Talk with your host, Cosmogony.
Look into the face of my enemy. I see my brother. I see my brother.
Look through the eyes of my enemy, no friend of me. The same one who killed Trayvon Officer Friendly. But it ain't friendly, remember Anunnaki. A fallen one who put the gun to the head of Pimp C. Resurrection in progress, we fake this, call it R.I.P. Now rise and shine, harvest time, government heavenly. Even our white brothers and sisters from the 70s. After the light of day, we were separate as family, no brotherhood.
I look into the face of my enemy. I see my brother. I see my brother.
Since 6 to Super 7 got me deep in the 8. Every mile running is race is still black is my face. As they peep out they peripherals appalled by the game. Whenever white rain and thunder put delays in the game. My flow from atmospheria, my shoes they come from Italy. Vortexian heat, I'm transferring this energy every word deliberately. Cops will kill you literally and label you a terrorist if black with your identity.
That's right. Back like I left something. Your hostess with the mostest, burning like toast is your naga, your nerve. Fresh off the curb, jelly jam and preserve, man. Hey, wanted to give a shout out to my brother Luke Shoe for dropping this fire screen holder on your boy, man. Shout out to the four horsemen, Malachi Maccabee, Selah Shalom, Daryl Cosma, and yours truly, the hostess with the mostest himself, Cosmos. You dig what I'm saying, man? Thanks for everybody for coming through. You dig what I'm saying? Showing love. You dig what I'm talking about? Hit that like button, thumb up the video, share it on your platforms, and make sure you hashtag Terrance Howard. As I promised you last night, we're going to get into another. Breakdown into his videos. You dig what I'm talking about and what the brother got going on. All right. Mm-hmm. 1 second, y'all. A little BI. Okay. Man, shout out my brother, Just Me. Dropping that big old binte. Ooh, wait, that's that love I'm speaking of right there, man. Shout out my big bro, man. Just Me. As I've always told you, my OGs have always been better than yours. Right? Hey, let's get this off the screen real quick. And let's dive right into this. Terrance Howard. If I am right, hand over your accreditations. Straight talk. Shout out to this sister too, who I think her name is Daphne Wynn. She I like her interview style. She was unflappable, even when there was things that you could clearly see she didn't agree with. She didn't let it bother her. You dig what I'm saying? And she came back with pertinent questions. Thought that was dope. You dig what I'm saying? Let's get into it. I ain't gonna talk too long.
So, what would you say is your foundation as a man of where all of this massive information comes from? Your thought process, the way you think, what you receive. Because I hear you talking about revelation a lot, but where do you attribute that? Like, where's that coming from? Because you don't think like the average person, obviously.
No, because I don't identify with average.
Got it.
I
Boom.
don't identify with that. When I look in the mirror, I see the creator.
Okay.
I don't see anything short of the creator. I'm
Mm-hmm.
there's not one part of me that wasn't made from the creator. So there's not one part of me that's
Okay.
not perfect. Now maybe my perception and understanding
Yeah.
isn't there because I've allowed myself to be influenced by other things,
Mm-hmm.
but I see myself in the most humble way as being directly from the creator. And I see everyone else and everything else as being directly from the creator, even the plastic that makes this up,
Mm-hmm.
that carbon
Mm-hmm.
is still vibrating at the key of E. Breathing in and breathing out. We look at this and call it dead, but that Browning effect
Right.
is the life
Mhm.
principle continuing on in it. So when I recognize that this is alive, I recognize that I'm alive, and I recognize that this carries the same nature of the creator, then it recognizes that in me. And so there's an equanimity,
Mhm.
and I don't see myself above a piece of tissue or below the creator himself. So there's a balance of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very provoking mindset to have, because of your extensive experience in life that most people don't get to do, with acting and everything else. What would you say has been the most rewarding out of everything you've done?
Want to upgrade but still paying off your locked phone? Break free from 3-year device contracts. Switch to T.
The most rewarding thing that's ever happened to me or that I've accomplished in
That you've
this
done.
time. Being able to define the entire electric field or the plasmic field
Mhm.
and patent it.
Yeah.
And the things that I discovered with that prove that the platonic solids, which our entire infrastructure is built off, were only averages and approximations, and that all of the postulates and axioms they've built off of are erroneous.
Mhm.
And being able to present that, but also being given the blessing of defining the magnetic field, the feminine side, and patenting those, the expansion or the unfolding of the universe, but then being given the opportunity to define the neutral that sits between it, or the constitution, which is the linchpin that mitigates between the micro, which is the electric world, and the macro, which is the magnetic world. And this works as a bridge, a common factor between. So having discovered and patented the
You didn't discover nothing, homie. And no offense, you didn't discover it, right? All this information was brought out and even more succinctly than you are bringing it out now, all the way in 1882 by a white boy, Dennis, who didn't even know what he was writing. So, where you may feel that, you created this, let's still understand even though part of what you're saying is correct, you're still in fact wrong. As much as we want to tout you, you dig what I'm talking about, and hold you up to the light, and you know what I mean, pat you on the back, and you dig what I'm saying. We must also show you where you vary from creation, where you veer off, right? And that's only in love, so you don't never fall. You dig what I'm talking about? So they can't come for you. By that time, once they catch up, you've set up a system. And your system will work for thousands of years. You dig what I'm talking about, or can, to better man. You dig what I'm talking about? And if you get took off the world after that, then so be it. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, in between time, you got some people out here that's gonna stomp the streets, stomp the internet, you know, the blogosphere, the metasphere. You dig what I'm saying? And get these things done in places in ways you can't. Not that if you could have, you would have already done it. Right? You know that there are let me just put it like this. There are various entities, right, that would love to take you up out of here. Let's keep going.
Grand unified field equation.
Yeah.
And putting it into practice and building all of these new industries that have come from it, from transcendental lighting to tangential flight, to in supersymmetrical systems. I've patented 4 supersymmetrical systems. And a supersymmetrical system is, it always aligns. That's how the universe behaves. And according to science, there are no supersymmetrical systems because the platonic solids have a thing called discrete symmetry. And for everybody out there,
I was just about to
the
say
platonic solids were 5 polygons that that are based upon straight lines and flat planes. And they're the tetrahedron, the hexahedron or the cube, the octahedron, the dodecahedron, and the icosahedron. Now, for millennia, since the days of Pythagoras and the days of Plato, these were the undisputed, fundamentals of God. And they said that they pulled it out of the flower of life. Now, my biggest question, well, another thing based on what's my greatest accomplishment, would have been to question mathematical fallacy that 1 times 1 equals 1. Because how could an action times an action not have a reaction?
Now, this is what I wanted to get into today. You dig what I'm saying? I wanted to go ahead and hear him all the way out. Let's go, y'all.
Because every action has a natural reaction. So I was like, how did they come up with this irrational and illogical set of things? If to multiply means to make more, then how can 1 times 1 equaling 1 be part of a multiplication table? It fails to satisfy the term multiply. So questioning that, and in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, as I came along, that courage towards curiosity and an unbridled passion towards finding the truth, which therefore the Bible or any other book has to be held. You have to question it and make sure that everything that it says and purports to be is what it is. Because as a Jehovah's Witness, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, if my child would have been sick and needed blood, I wouldn't have given him blood because of Genesis 9:4 about not putting blood in your body. And then, but out there, we were told as witnesses, you got to stay away from astrology. Stay away from astrology. And I'm like, why stay away from astrology? Why do I need? Because they told the truth about Christmas, told the truth about Easter, told the truth about holidays, all of this stuff. But why stay away from astrology? Well, it turns out all religion has come from astrology, and the astrology was astronomy. and they were trying to make sense of the heavens and how.
That's science, family. That's science. So what is he? He's explaining as spirituality. Science does the same thing, right? Let me see. I want to offer this as to explanation as into why what you're seeing, right? We must remember, right? This is the book of discipline, right? 5 and 11. Remember this. Remember what he just brought up. Let's go back. Let's go back. Go back just a minute.
All religion has come from astrology, and the astrology was astronomy, and they were trying to make sense of the heavens.
But what he don't know is hold on. Go back right here. This is what he's not been able to put together yet. Book of inspiration. Book of discipline. 5 and 11. Inspiration comes less by books than by what the creator wrote. What did he write? His worlds. So when he was trying to tell you what they was trying to explain through astronomy and astrology, nigga, they was using astrology and astronomy to try to explain cosmogony. How it's created. Because they seeing what they seeing. That can't be denied. Right? Inspiration comes less by books than by what he created. The sun, moon, stars, men. Read him and his works. So to find creator, you must look at his creation. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. And he will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained by day or attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation. Till what? Till the growth is from the foundation or is organic. Because even the fool will say the sacred books are no more than man in his own knowledge could write. Right? And ain't that what they saying about Terrance Howell right now? Oh, he just made this up. Anybody could have did this. Now, the proof that anybody couldn't have did it is the fact that nobody did. But the fool will say, the haters will say, that the sacred books are no more. Ain't this what they say about Owasby? JBN just made it up out his head. Nigga, have you read this book? JBN said if he'd have ever even thought to ever say that he wrote this book and he thought it up out of his own mind, even his own friends and family would have been like, Cap, Bro, you not to stop lying. Even his own family would have called him a liar. There's no way he could have wrote a gospel. It's impossible. Right? But he admits that he didn't. The fool will say the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge. Good, right? Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of that so-called sacred book. So if anybody could do it, anybody could have got this information from somewhere and blah, 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 blah. He took combinations of other things and he made it prove it. First of all, that's not what WASP is saying. One, showing you haven't read the book, nor do you know the information. But this is what the brother is seeing. Let's get back to it.
And how time passed in these bodies, and it turns out the sun going through the 12 constellations. They anthropomorphized those 12 constellations and they became disciples. And there's every story, every culture, from the Egyptians, to the Greeks. They had the same story of the Son of God that born from a virgin, that's betrayed by one of his disciples. He dies on the 21st, and in 3 days he rises later. Well,
they say that, but I consider myself, I call myself a believer, but I'm under the umbrella of Christian, and there are a lot of erroneous doctrines that are
in Christendom
that don't, purport what God actually has given us to examine.
How do you burn somebody for eternity for something that they did for 30, 40 years without direction? It lacks justice, and it lacks the thing we call love. There's nothing my child could do that would make me burn them forever. And then we got to think about God never breaks his laws of universal function in order to perform a miracle. That's not what happens. So I guess the person's flesh grows back and they burn the next day, grows back. That sounds like something from science fiction. All of those things.
And it sounds like torture. You dig what I'm talking about? Think about it. Why would an all-loving, merciful, caring father to his child punish him infinitely for a finite action? Does that sound fair and just? You get a whooping forever for a thing you did when you was 5 years old, when you didn't know no better. That's the understanding of sin and the lack of redemption that we find in all religious ideologies. It's sad.
Things that the best thing you could do for a child that's out of control, if you can't get them help, is put them to sleep so that they can't harm anybody else. But you would never continually torture somebody for something that they did for a few years. You would never do it. It lacks equanimity, and the universe is based upon balance. So when I asked all of those questions, I never got the proper answer. So I had to go in search of, because I would have put my life and my family's life on the line for that. And I miss the days when I looked forward to a savior coming in and helping us. I miss those days because it was much easier. But I recognize that we have to save ourselves. You have to be your own hero and act. Jesus didn't sit and wait for someone else to come and help.
Come on, man. Come on, man. I can't make it up this good, y'all. What did he just say? You must become your own savior. Word for word of the Creator. Begin to save yourself now in this life. Become preparatory to the states that you will be in later in life, right? Gear yourself towards that independence and lifting yourself and man up. And how do you lift yourself up? By lifting your brother up. Ain't that dope? Don't that sound fair? Don't that sound just? This is why Owaspy is going, in the end of the day, dominate the world. But not only that, we gonna get the gangsters first. Jaja got something for you. Why? Why you say, Cosmo, that the intelligent people and the gangsters and the spiritually high are going to get Owaspy first? Why? Because they're all using the highest form of understanding on the planet right now, and that is called common sense. But why I say the street dudes is going to fall in love with Owaspy, not only for the redemptive process, right? And that your Creator made a way that if you messed it up, you could clean it up. Gangsters would take that. I'm not going to burn in hell forever. Right? I was wrong. I know I'm wrong now. I didn't think I was wrong then, but I know I'm wrong now. Can I start righting my wrongs in life in the same places where the people I hurt? Can I start to change over and try to clean up the mess I made now? And will it have benefit? Yes, this is what Owaspy is teaching, man. Owaspy said, you God, and then proved it. Huh? How many times we got to say it? Right? God is a man. God is the rank of an angel. An angel is a one-time living man on earth, a dead person, an ancestor. They get a rank, a title, a position. Huh? It's a job. Right? Let's keep going. You right though. Say yourself.
He got out and did what was necessary in order to educate and edify the people that he cared about. And as a result of that work, we have all of these wonderful ideas, but now we've lost that spirit, and it's time for us to get back into the spirit of what's right.
Well, I appreciate, your thought process concerning that. And I think there is a way to reconcile the two. I wouldn't dare tell a person how they need to personally receive truth, but you taking such a strong stance in your convictions, in your revelation towards science, towards questioning the word you use is audit. You're auditing all of these systems. You're auditing the system of religion, you're auditing the system of science and math and the system of education, the system of this government structure. So in that process, you don't need to know whether you're right or not.
No. He absolutely needs to know he's right. Let's see what he say.
But the world is questioning.
Well, I need to know
Why
that
I'm
I'm
right.
right.
You know what
I
I mean?
need to know whether, because the
There you
truth
go.
does not matter being examined. It's
Right.
just the lie that doesn't like being examined. You're
Okay.
not supposed to ask those things, but the truth.
Correct. The brother correct. Truth don't need no crutch. And it don't need your woefully incapable, cognitive dissonant level of understanding and belief. You dig what I'm saying? It don't need you. Truth just is. And it don't mind you going in and scratching and looking up under the hood, kicking the tires. And because guess what? At the end of the day, it's truth. Truth don't matter about. Truth don't mind nothing. Come on over here, look at it. Only thing gonna change about it is you. You see what I'm saying? Go.
Always welcomes thorough examination, rigor. That's what we're supposed to, that's what our math was supposed to do. So
Right.
how do you have where the square root of 2, when you cube it, has the same value as the square root of 2 when you multiply it by 2? That's like making x cubed equal to 2x, which is equal to x plus x. That's an unnatural equation. So that means the math is off. How can you multiply by 0, but you can't divide by it without it becoming an infinity, when division is the inverse operation of multiplication? That's how you check your multiplication, is you divide it back. So if you can't divide it back, then it's unreal. And in the scriptures, Jesus didn't mind being questioned.
No.
So why would the Bible, or the people that promote the Bible, why would they question or be upset with someone questioning whether these traditions are actually from the Creator?
Why they would mind is you're questioning their God's authority, and now you're tearing down the whole idea and rhetoric, religious idealism behind the God. Right? If you learned that you was Jesus, that you was Yeshua, would you praise him? The same thing applies with the understanding of what a God is. A God does not create sun, moons, and stars and planets. God is part of the creation too. The greatest trick that the devil or Satan ever pulled, they like to say, is that he made people believe he didn't exist. No, the greatest trick Satan ever pulled was convincing y'all he was God. Not only is that the same thing in man, but the being that goes on to entitle or inherit the title of God, it was the same for him when he was in his physical body. Huh? This is what you will become. Creator says, all men will approach the Godhead, mastering all below them.
And if they're from the Creator, you'll know. So for me, it was important to find the truth.
You hear what he said?
Traditions are actually from the Creator. And if they're from the Creator, you'll know. So for me, it was important to find the truth. That's all I care about.
That's right.
I care about the truth and make way for life. Because everything, whoever said that I think it was a narcissist that said, well, God put us here and put all the animals underneath us. Says who? Why? We're the only species that is responsible for other species being extinct. We've caused millions, if not billions, of species to go extinct, from microbes to actual mammals. We are responsible. So you think we are in charge, or God put us here over this earth in this way to abuse it in this life?
There's a you've probably heard it, I'm sure, but there's a scripture in Isaiah, and it says that the heart of man is
Yes.
desperately wicked,
And treacherous.
and who can know it?
Who can know it?
And I think those are some of the explicit things that explain our humanity. I like to say a lot of times that we're just very savage in our nature. And so when things happen to me, what I look at is I look at humanity. I don't blame God
No.
for what we choose to do. And I think that those are some of the imbalances of understanding truth about God's word and who he is and what his plan is for us and why we're here. But again, you auditing the lie.
I'm auditing I'm auditing the indoctrination and the dogma.
Got it.
You know.
Yeah.
That what that scripture says is the heart of man, who can know it? It's desperate and treacherous. Now, treacherous means to trip one up from behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's the heart of man. And you think that we've been given authority or dominion over the earth? That sounds like something that somebody wanted to enslave people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they use those same things to say that slavery was okay, you know, for all of this time. You know, you have to audit the political systems. We have to audit. For 6 years, my family went through.
My thing is this. What he's questioning is the fact that in your book, whatever religious text that you have, your God is saying that these words purported to be in this Bible are the immaculate words of God. That means unflawed or flawless or infallible, but not only infallible, incapable of infallibility. A thing that is perfect. So like you said before, if we see one thing off, and then we look again and see 2 and 3, 4 and 5, we must begin to question the so-called perfectness or in its claim to being immaculate, flawless. I want to show y'all this. This is what he questioned, right? Because his book is saying, yo, and then imagine the impossibility. If that was the case, the Bible would still be being written today. How could you put all things and be perfect? There's only one thing that's perfect, and that's the Creator, and he is all things, and all things are of him. That includes your book, even the words in it. So there is no way all truth could ever be written down on a page. Right? Can you get truth? Yes, but not all of it. Only one is immaculate. Look what Owaspy say about itself. Right? Look what Owaspy say about itself. I've never seen this. I've never seen a spiritual text that said, nigga, everything ain't in here. Everything can't be explained in here. Like, this is just the very first fruits to come up off of this thing. And then you got to get this. Because there's going to be years and years of fruit or higher understanding being birthed out of the text. Right? You have never seen in any religion, spirituality, or understanding of any type where the so-called high-raised deity being tells you it's not immaculate, that its book is not immaculate. And then look what OSP say is for. The whole purpose in Bible. See, in the end goal in Bible is to be trapped in this little heaven that drops up out of the sky that is on a new earth, and you got male prostitutes outside around you trying to get a couple dollars about you. That's the whole point. In the end of the day, or you going to hell. It's the whole point. To be in this new heaven on this new earth in this little 2.25 million square mile box. It's the whole point of Christianity or Hebrewism, Israelitism, right? And basically it's the same story for the other three false gods and their false religions, right? Well, also known as the four heads of the beast, right? Even spoken about in their own text. Remember, prophecy is personal. First of all, it's not only not guesswork. You're not guessing. It doesn't come from some spooky spirit when you're prophesying. No, absolute rules run it. So guess what? If absolute rules run prophecy, what is that called? Mathematics. Right? This is why they say, if you say you know how to prophesy, you already know cosmogony. If you saying you know cosmogony, then you already know how to prophesy. The point of the Bible is to be trapped in a box with some dogs, sorcerers, murderers, and male prostitutes at your door, peering in at you. That's the whole point of the Bible. If you don't believe me, go to Revelations 22, 14 and 15. But look at the point of a waspy. First of all, it's telling you, look, bro, it's not perfect. The book is not flawless, and it's not infallible. It's a book. It can't contain. It's got to have a beginning and an end. There ain't no beginning or end to creation. Right? Look what a waspy's purpose is. Look what it said. Not to come here, raise up no sinners and find lost children and lost tribes. It ain't coming. Nigga, shut up. None of that matters. A waspy is here to teach mortals how to attain to hear the Creator's voice. You're going to have a male prostitute as your end game. Our end game is to learn and to know how to hear the Creator's voice. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. I still ain't got a question as to why your God kills everybody except 144,000 people, put them in this little chicken coop, but he saves the male prostitutes. I haven't got an answer yet. Huh? Look at the purpose, the end goal of a waspy is to hear the Creator's voice. Their end goal is to be trapped in a box with dogs, murderers, and male prostitutes. Whoremongers. And it teach you, it say you learn how to hear the Creator's voice and to see heaven. See, what y'all don't know, heaven is in the atmosphere. Right? It's what we call, or what you're misunderstanding as, gaseous. It's atmospheric. It's right above you. It's just moving at a higher frequency along the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, let me see. Boom. Right? This is the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. Out of all this, over 100,000 a nanometer to within a nanometer. Okay, this is 10,000 times. Look at the wavelengths. Massive numbers. All right. But think about this. Out of all these tens of thousands of wave patterns, right, that are out there, we only see about 0.35% of that. And this is not 3.5, about 0.035%. Right? So everything you see is registered in visible light is only roughly 0 or roughly 0.035% of all the light that can actually be seen. Because look, at 700 nanometers, guess what you can't see? Radio waves, FM waves, TV waves, or radar. You definitely can't see infrared. But right above infrared, starting about 400 nanometers. Okay. All right. Roughly about 700 nanometers right here, excuse me. The lower red spectrum. And this is why, look, when you look up in the sky in the day, right? Go look up at the sky right now. You're going to see blue and yellowy skies, primarily blue. Even though all this color is encompassed in there, you're going to see a yellow sun, blue sky. But, right, when you heading towards the evening, right, in the mornings, what do we see? More violets. Early when the sun is rising, the sky is violet. Then it'll turn into a red scarlet. It starts to look like this till it rocks over and goes in like this. But we see this, excuse me, in the morning. I keep doing it backwards. We see the red more on the horizon. This would be your visual view of the sun rising over here in the morning, right? As you do it like this, look at how the light looks, more yellowy. And when it's truly overhead, it's blue till you go to night and it gets into the ultraviolets, X-ray, gamma ray, right? Moving at a much higher frequency, right? But we can only see between these 400 and these 700 nanometers, which is all this. So they got an idea in science that an electron must move faster than the speed of light, right? To actually be seen. But what I'm trying to tell you is that that's crazy. Why? Because first of all, you can only see in the visual light spectrum. So a proton, or excuse me, electron moving slower or faster, you wouldn't be able to see. Either way. So how you gonna go faster than visible light or the speed of light when it's way out here? You can't. Either way, what they're saying is to make a thing seen, it must move that fast. No. Nope. It must sit right in the middle. Must have what this brother like to call equanimity. It must have balance. There must be some left to every right, some up to every down, some magnetism to every electricity. Some push to every pull, some condensing to every contraction to expansion. Correct? This is the great duality they're perceiving. Hold on. Let's get back to it.
A federal criminal investigation for the IRS. 6 years thorough, went through everything for 6 years. At the end of the 6 years, they came up with, well, we keep this going, or you can plead guilty to a misdemeanor of fraud. Now, I knew what they wanted me to do was so that they could say he's a fraud, and therefore all of these other things that I would come out and say, they would be able to say, well, I was like, no, let's go to court. Let's do this in front of a jury of my peers. And then they walked away from it. And then Pennsylvania, somebody that was really had a big appetite, they went and made a civil thing. And so I went and I responded to the person on the phone and told her, no, what you guys are doing is wrong, because anyone, taxes from 2008, 2009, even 2011, by nature would be discharged for any other citizen. So how is it you're going to try and hold me accountable for something you would have discharged? That's discrimination.
We know that the IRS is an illegal entity. We know that.
Yes, it's a private entity. It's not even part of the government.
Yeah. So again, I said this to you the other night and we didn't have it on camera, but I'm gonna say it now. You're stirring up some stuff.
Just the truth.
And but in that, and we know all the greats, we talked about that the other night, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King.
This why you need the game. But creators say, ain't gonna be no one Abram. Ain't gonna be no one Moses. Ain't gonna be no one Yeshua, no one Buddha. Ain't gonna be no one Confucius. Said, I'm gonna make millions of them. Said they will uphold my word and prove my word on every side. You ain't ready.
And all the people that stood against something or stood for something.
You ain't gonna be able to kill him. And even if you do, so what? Right? Now he done raised up a whole nation of people who you're gonna make him a martyr. If listen, the worst thing you could do, even though you are murderous killers, in your hearts, in your souls, you dig what I'm talking about? The worst thing you could do If you trying to get this, if you trying to stop what he's trying to put out, is to do anything to him, because you're going to lend credibility to what he's saying, and you don't know what you're doing when you lock a thing in blood. Why do you think your religion is here? There were many things done in the name of your gods where men were killed. Ignominiously, I mean, just murdered, butchered, tarred and feathered, iron maiden, sawed in half, you know what I mean, pulled in pieces, let dogs bite their face. Listen, they had a thing where they made you ride a blade, like a 40-foot blade. So by the time you got to the bottom of it, you were face kissing a sharp, big old blade, and it was chopping you in half, and you were just bursting into two halves and falling down to the ground. It's crazy, right? They were doing this to our ancestors. The only reason why was we wouldn't praise their gods. You gotta remember that. Right? Why are you fighting? Who's telling you to fight? Who's authorizing it and okaying it? It's the God. Now you got to turn around and look at America. Ooh, wait. Especially the United States government. Ooh, wait. Look how far you are in juxtaposition to your people. Your people is one thing, right? You are a whole nother thing, trying to dominate the people. You set yourself up as God, and you're leading the people astray. And guess what? Creator steps away. I mean, and as long as you're trying to do anything good, he let it stand. But guess what? Sooner or later, he pulls his protective angels away, right? And you instantly, quickly go into anarchy, assassinations, utter destruction. You fall under the weight of your own evil. Guess what? So, good. You got what you got coming. And if you thought that a person died and got away, he didn't. He didn't. He already getting fucked over before you even get there. You gonna walk into some butt kicking. Yeah, you thought you got away because you lived. Oh, no. First of all, that thing you call a conscience, it's been eating at you every day. Soldiers who go out there and kill men, their conscience gives them PTSD. What they don't know is those are actually the spirits. This is why they have the dreams and they see the people, because it's literally the people. They're just spirits. They come to them in dreams and all that stuff, and they haunt them, killing them. They got the right. Remember, don't you reap what you sow? This is why I'm telling you, gangsters, be smart. Trying to be gangsters for the creator. Gangsters for your people. And see, a gangster ain't nothing but truth. Common. Right? Because there is nothing more gangster than the truth. Understand what you do. You protect your people. And guess what? You already geared to be able to go and peel a nigga cap and then go eat a sandwich. Everybody can't do that, bro. Everybody can't do that. You come from a stock that is called a Hun, meaning warrior faithist. Right? See, this is what they don't know. Jaja always had a man come do it. Wasn't no spook. It was you. You came and kicked the butt. You cleared the forest. You made the river. You built the pyramid. You did that. Very first time they ever made a picture of a god that looked just like you. This is what they're not explaining. This is what a Waspy is bringing back.
Something were attacked in a certain way. And we talked about fear and how that plays out. So do you fear anything with what you're auditing now and how people will respond to all of these truths that you're seeking to prove?
No, I've already proven it.
Okay.
The 97 patents prove it. You don't get a patent unless
Okay.
it's real. And then the inventions and the new industry prove it. The entire AR, VR world that you guys use with all of that came from one of my first patents, the World of Windows patent in 2009, that when I was accused of domestic violence and was unable to go and get my mail because I couldn't go to the house because she had a restraining order, couldn't reach out in any way. So for a $500 something maintenance fee, my World of Windows patent was abandoned, and immediately Hewlett Packard, stamped everybody, AT&T, grabbed my patent, didn't just cite it, but built the entire AR VR world off of it.
So is that what that was about? Because I did read where there was a domestic violence dispute and the first wife was given a restraining order.
Yeah, no, that my first wife, that was the only woman that I've ever had a physical alteration with, interaction with. You know, I had spent, because of trying to be a witness. But first let me get to.
Right now, a child is being diagnosed with cancer.
You had asked, and am I afraid? The only thing I'm afraid of is not accomplishing that which I was put on here to do. Because if I don't accomplish it, I got to come back and do it again.
Nah, partner. Nah, you're going to finish that up there. Yeah, you're going to get right. That's the thing. You're going to get right. So I like the idea and the fact that as a faithist, you trying to get it right here, right now. You want your heaven right here, right now. I ain't waiting for no pie in the sky. I feel that.
It's what we need right now is the world to be saved and to raise the vibration of humanity. And the only way you do that is remove the interfering vibratory things, which is lies, and replace it with truth and everyone becoming one. So part of those lies, my first wife, who I did, and this is what I did with Rolling Stone, who we had broken up and were apart for 6 years. And I did the biblical thing. I went there, took out the trash, still cut the lawn for 6 years. That I took care of everything, but I was being humiliated by her. And at one point it got to me, and I went to the door, and she had been really mean, and I kicked open the door and I grabbed her, and then my kids were right there. And when I smacked her, when I said I smacked her, it was like I was like, hey, like that. But for some reason, now my brother came and grabbed her because we were working at the house. And when the police came, I told them what happened. They took us to the station. They did pictures and all of that. And when I was so surprised when she said that, when I read that she said that I'd hit her with a closed fist. Now, mind you, I weighed about 220. I was benching like 340 at the time. If I had punched her in the face, her face there would have been bruises or any of that. But anybody can look up, Lori McComas or whatever name they got for her, and look at those pictures and see that didn't align. But I believe that it was her attorney and her desire not to have me there in order to get the restraining order. They did that, and then she didn't know how it would affect me going into the future. And that's what my second wife used as blackmail, knowing that I had already had that there. And in our industry, there's two terrible, unforgivable sins: domestic violence and child abuse. You know, those two things, you're done. So I was given the scarlet letter, and I didn't know that that scarlet letter was the best thing for me, because I was kicked out of the limelight and forced to be back inside of my own home. And that's when the creator began to use me again. And I started remembering all of the things that mattered when I was a child. And that's where all of the patents came from. That's where all the discoveries came from. It was during that time that I was on my own. And
do you feel that you've been forgiven?
Oh, I don't need to be forgiven.
I was going to ask.
I didn't do shit to be
forgiven.
forgiven. No, I forgave me for losing the self-control, but my kids knew the truth. You know, I did a video explaining about my second wife, who all I wanted from her, my second wife, Michelle. We got engaged. We didn't sleep together until we were engaged.
Why I switched to this hair color and will never go back. I've been dyeing my grays for a few years now. For a while, I was just using the cheap stuff you can find.
Met her in 2009. Yeah, 2008, and we got engaged in 2009. Tried to sleep together and realized we didn't have any chemistry at all. And
that's crazy.
But when I still brought her home in Philadelphia, and I was like, here, I played for the tape of my mom right before she died. My mom died from colon cancer in 2008, and I had one dictaphone that had my mother the last 2 weeks, and her telling me, I knew you were going to be all right, and I loved you, and da-da-da. And she's like, oh, why you got it on a dictaphone? Let me put it in the computer. I can put it in the computer, and we keep forever. Okay, great. I'm downstairs. 2 hours later, I come upstairs, all of my dictaphones. Now, mind you, I'd heard that Louis Armstrong had recorded his life. So I always had dictaphones recording my life for the last 10 years before meeting her. She had downloaded all those into her computer. And a couple of them was me having phone sex, stuff like that. Because I didn't know if some chick
won't do for love, you'll find everything. Listen, nose open, old, ain't even really into computers. Shorty got down on him. He go back up. She done went in there and downloaded everything. Now, he didn't ask her to do that. He just wanted to hear the stuff with his mom, right? What you think about that? Right? What y'all think about that happen? Is she going to take that information and use it against him? Or is she going to take that information to help benefit him? What do you think is about to happen? If you think it's going to be a benefit, hit me with a 1 in the chat. If you think it's about to, if you think it's going to be a benefit, hit me with a 1. If you think it's going to be some harm that come from her taking this information, hit me with a 2 in the chat. Man, eradicated the last memories of this nigga mama, bro. The last 2 weeks she was living, he had literal voice messages on a dictaphone, right? For those who don't know what a dictaphone is, like a small handheld recorder. That's many of them are voice activated. So anytime you talk, it's recording. You see what I'm saying? He had his mom who died. He had her last 2 weeks on the dictaphone. Shorty said, oh man, we could throw that up there and it'll be forever, He go downstairs, she go through all this stuff. That's a sucker though, right there. That was a sucker move. Right? And then why would you trust somebody? You know what? it is what it is, right? I see Ray said it's going to be some good come from it. Ray said she going to do some good with it. Holly, I said it's going to be some bad from it. Bishop X said it's going to be some bad. Bronze X said it's going to be some bad from it. You dig what I'm talking about? Yafa thinks some bad going to come up out of this. Oh, now you didn't change your mind. Huh? Let's see. Let's see if the female was inspired to do something good for this brother, or did she do something negative? Let's see.
Was going to come out.
You
and
know
Me
what?
Too was going to happen. So I came up and I saw that up there, and I was like, wait, no, that's my personal stuff. And I didn't know much about I didn't play with the computer that much. So she was like, oh, no problem, I'll delete it. And she hit delete, and I was like, okay, fine. So I go downstairs and find, and then 3 months later, when I tell her, look, I don't think this is gonna work out, she's like, you think I erased that stuff? I kept it, and I heard who you are, and got it, and that's where the blackmail began. But I didn't care about the blackmail. All I wanted back from her was my mother's tape.
Wow.
And I begged her and went through all of that stuff for years, just hoping she would give that back to me. After destroying my career, all of the stuff that she went out and did, not one time, not one call to the police, not one report from the police, not one report from a neighbor, not one trip to the hospital, none of those things. All she came out and said that I had hit her and had painted a black eye on, and people ran with it.
Yeah, I read it.
And when she finally gave me back the tapes after I paid her the ransom for it, she had erased everything. So she killed my mother again.
Wow. So let's see. Were you right? Huh? Was your inspiration correct? That this young lady took this man's information, held him hostage with it, did him dirty, got his name drugged through the mud, not one charge. Ain't called the police once, right? Sued him civilly. Drug his name through the mud just to turn around in the end of the day. Look how dirty she did it. Right? In a sense, like he said, killed his mother for a second time. That's dirt. That's dirt right there. That's filth. That's what I call a truck.
And I still had to continue paying someone. And I was looking for the courts to help and all of those things. But the good thing is I forgot that 50% of me is genetically predisposed to become my mommy.
Well, I went to college right out of high school, and I failed miserably. I decided to go back to school.
So all I had to do was look down at my hand. Oh, there's my mommy right there. And I shouldn't have never been afraid. So being afraid is a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, Cosmo been telling you from day one. Fear is the great blocker.
But
this is why your God tells you to fear him. That the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. What? The fear? Being scared? Thought you didn't give us the spirit of fear. Contradiction is some bullshit. And you know it. And you know it. And you know it. Hallelujah.
Nothing happens by accident, because if that hadn't happened, I would have continued making money. I wouldn't have cared about the truth. I wouldn't have cared about where we are. I wouldn't have cared about the IRS. The IRS led me to the idea of, what in the hell are we paying taxes? If my family was forced to come over here, kidnapped, brutalized, forced labor, raped, murdered. But under all of that, we built this entire country. Now, if I'm a contractor, I build a home for you. You can't pay for the home. What happens? That home comes to me by default. So by default, the entire United States, all of its infrastructure, all of its Capitol buildings, everything that's been, the streets were built by us. They have never paid us for it. Now, the Brattle Group, which is an independent statistics group, they did an evaluation of what Barbados and their relationship with England, with Britain owes Barbados. Said it was $4.5 trillion for the 350,000 slaves that were brought over. It's $4.5 trillion. But for the U.S., they said it was $108 to $131 trillion that was owed to the descendants of slaves, that the reparations should go. Now, they don't have that. They can't even get that in 15 years from the GDP. Our GDP, we get maybe about 10 trillion at the most. Right now, there's $20 trillion in total money available, but we owe $34 trillion. So we're paying $680 billion a year in interest just on that money that will never be paid off because there's never enough money printed in order to pay it off.
So I know you have very illustrious.
Now, he's gonna give you his theory on reparations. And I see this as part of a solution. He sees it as a full solution. See, what the bro don't understand is, along with and even before there is reparation or a repairing, right? You must have a whole reinstitution of who the people are and their rights to where they are. This is why they told you the whole African story. Because if you was ever aware that you was already on your land, now you about to start suing for the land. Huh? Were you ever sharecropped? You think just not paying taxes on something is fair? When they owe you everything? No. All right. Look what he say though. Look what he say. This is just part of what he's saying. You know what I mean? But you gotta, to come with that reparation, you gotta have restitution. Right? First things first. You got to admit you did what you did. And we got to restore the people. And with that restoration comes reparation. Right? A whole rejudification. Right? And systems will be built to help the people them ways. And it will help. But it's going to only lead to, in the end of the day, creator. So you're going a roundabout way. And even that institution, how it's going to be set up. which I believe is the Aboriginal movement, even though it's going to change the world, right? Even it's going to crumble because it's going to be up under America. I'm just saying, one day, good people going to figure out you just got to get away from bad people.
There's reparations plan.
Yes.
You mentioned that the other night as well. And that is one of the questions I wanted to ask.
Well, let's do it.
What that plan is. But I think it's important for the people to understand where we are as a nation in terms of the numbers. Because you asked me a question, like how many do I think is here? How many?
What population?
Taxes. Taxes without giving you some money to spend. Taxes without show land with a home on it. You still in the same rut. What matter does it if you gonna pay taxes if your credit ain't fixed? See, if you ain't got that 800 credit score, what does it matter if you're not paying attention? Huh? I'm trying to tell y'all, can't be short-sighted in this. Let's go.
What percentage of the population do we make
I said 50 million.
Yeah. And it turns
it's
out
probably more like 100.
it should be. It feels like we make up a third of the country. We fill up 90% of the prisons. We have so much legislation regarding the descendants of slaves, but they say we only.
Now, regardless to how you feel about the whole slave ideology, right? Slavery, indentured servitude, Indian, African, Pacific, it happened. It was a part of the American way, and trying to deny that something didn't happen is lunacy, if you ask me, right? But what exactly happened? I don't think that story has been told, right? And much of it has been told backwards. But let's get to what he's talking about. Let's see.
We make up 12 to 13% of the population. Now, does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense to anyone? It says that Caucasians make up 75% of the population here. But the point of that, if that's the case, we only contribute 12% to the GDP of the IRS. Now, it's immoral for them to be charging us taxes, I think, for the next 400 years, because they don't have the money to pay us the reparations, the 131 trillion that we're owed. I think the only possible solution is no taxes for any descendant of slaves for the next 400.
See, and that's the limiting of the conversation right there. Right there is when they limit the conversation. When they talk about it's just money. It's not just money. It's tangibles. Actuables. You dig what I'm saying? We would even take less money, right? If it came attached, if part of the money was used to buy land, right? Land grants given as part of restitution, right? And a rejuvenization of a people. They must be able to move where they need to go and be able to buy out the places where they, want to get to. You dig what I'm talking about? So they can put, groups together to buy certain places. right? And we you know, well, of course, you dig what I'm saying with land grants. You dig what I'm saying? There's going to take some mechanization. So, you know, this is about a real rejuvenization of a people. And what we got to understand is Creator didn't already gave us. And I'm gonna get back into the book of the prophet, because you know they like to say a WASP is a white book, it's for white people, it's only the whites, right? They don't know how much the melanated man plays a role in what's going on in the world, right? And WASP the only book I've never seen in my whole life that tells you what's going to happen to the slave master in this world and the next world, and what happened to his people, and what happens if they don't get right, and what happens if they do get right. And they better get right. And they say, until you can, you know, y'all despise, these are the most hated people in the world, the American Negro. WASP admits that. WASP said you despise these niggas, not really for no reason, not because you even really hated them. You wanted to be them. So let's keep going, man. I want to get through this today.
100 years. Now the Black community, which I hate using that term Black, and I hate using the term African, and I'll explain that in a second, but our community will now become an opportunity zone that every community can now invest in and reap the benefits. And we have a precedent for it because every single city or state in our union has some kind of film credit or tax exemption or tax rebate, 20, 30, 40%, because they know they're going to get 1,000% return based on the amount of innovation that comes in. So if you allow the descendants of slaves community to become an opportunity zone, then everyone will grow and benefit. We get rid of the karmic debt that we have here, but also we inspire innovation and all of those things, and it costs them nothing but 12%.
So
but what he ain't told you is how is the cash generated on our side, right? Is that given as, you know, what you would pay in taxes yearly for 400 years? Is that given back as a credit? How are you going to fund this great innovation with just tax relief? That should come anyway. We non-taxable anyway. That's something. Why would we even, first of all, any indigenous person on his whole land is untaxable. And if you ain't never heard of this word, look it up. Post-millennium. Watch this. Hold on. Shout out my my OG shout out my OG Alabama. Right? Let me show you what this is. Post-millennium. Huh? Post-millennium. In international law is the rule by which persons or things captured in war, not enslaved, but POW'd, right? It is the rule by which persons or things captured in war resume their original status when restored to the jurisdiction of their own country. Understand that these people captured in war are called blacks, or are hence dead to the jurisdiction of their own country, but through post-millennium, right? Which must be also added and applied into your restitution, not only your reparation. You must get back to jurisdiction of your own. And mind you, you can't tax a man on his own land, nor can you enslave him. And they knew that, and this is why they made the Indians non-taxable. So what you gonna do for the Indians today? The people that didn't come from nowhere. The people who land you stole, who y'all fronting off as Native Americans. What it is y'all did a deal with the Native Americans and they ain't told on you yet. They just now starting to tell. They cut a deal with y'all to overthrow us, the Algonquins. And they did it, right? We use of guns and all that stuff that y'all was giving, and then y'all turned on them. Stole their land, pushed them out west. That's why the real ghettos in America are the reservations. There ain't a ghetto in America that look worse than a reservation. Not one. You dig what I'm saying? I just wanted to share this idea with y'all of what's coming up in reparations and restitution that many people are missing. They don't even know what that word means. Shout out to my big bro, Alabama.
That plan, because there's a thought that is proliferating throughout our community that we're not unified. And that we don't stick together and we don't spend our money in our communities. So we spend $1.5 trillion annually in every other community other than our own. So if we get the reparations or if we receive tax-free, are we gonna steal?
Look what my bro say. That's amazing to me that it speaks on the American Negro. Not only does it speak on the American Negro, it tells you what your stock was, what you called yourself. You called yourself Ahuan, and Angui, or the first of men, Aboriginal, Indian, Indigenous. This is what you called yourself. And not only does it say, first of all, that true God today, who ain't a god, it's a goddess. It's a female, y'all. Her name's Shasivi, right? She coming to breed a new people, and she's going to use the American Negro stock, which your creator said he put here on purpose and ain't no more like you. Nowhere in the world. Even the niggas that's kind of like you that go on to produce stocks like the Vedics and the Israelites and all that, they Negroes too. But they're Eastern niggas. But here, we them Indians, we them Aboriginals, and ain't nobody like us. And he said, I only put y'all in North America. But out of y'all stock thousands of years later, I'm going to raise a race of supermen. And it's going to be of the amalgamated races. The best of the best is going to mix with the best of the best. It ain't going to be about no color. It's going to be about creed and character and uprightness and spiritual strength. But it ain't going to breed super babies. These is where your so-called mutants and X-Men are going to come from. Out of the womb of faithless mothers. I keep telling y'all, it's not going to be one Moses. It's not going to be one Yeshua. We going to literally, listen. The things that the ancients were able to do, right? They were special people. The majority of all people can do exactly what they did. This is the understanding of why Yeshua said, don't praise me. Praise the one who sent me. Does it not say ye are gods? Well, and that the things I do, you can do and even greater. Well, dang, Jeebus. Well, Jeebus, you said you the son of God. Oh, well, if I can do what you can do and even greater, well, I must be a son of God too. Well, then dang. Whatever God is, ain't the creator, because I came out of a woman. Huh? So whatever God is, it ain't the creator. Ooh-wee. It say, I put you here on purpose, ain't no more like you in the world, Negro. And out of your stock, I'm going to birth a whole new people. Oaspi called them the Omega Men. There's going to be a true cosmonian, true balanced person. We're going to breed babies like that. But then there's one past them. A super duper nigga. Ain't no telling what he gonna do. And this is the ideas that have been pushed since what they call the golden era. These stories of Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff are really, they're not old stories. They're told a long time ago about premonitions of a people who are going to come in this time. This is what they not understanding, bro. I'm telling you. Different. It's different. Owaspy is different. I've never seen a book tell you that the Negro was the Indian. I ain't never seen it. I ain't never heard no God, no creator say it before. The nigga who is supposed to made him say it. Huh.
Support those other groups as opposed to ourselves. And if that's the case, who is the person? Because I mentioned this the other night, like we don't have a voice like yours. We don't have a voice like Malcolm X now that people will follow. So how do we rally that community together? I'm saying that in the place of Black or African, I'm saying that community.
Well, let me backtrack so that they understand why I don't want to use Black or African. Black, according to the dictionary, means dark and ugly and death and all of those things. And if we keep in line with Dr. Emoto's work, a revolutionary scientist that realized that water is alive, it has memory, and the crystallization, if you say love to it and then you freeze it, it has these beautiful crystals, but if you say hate and put all that on it, it has these malformed crystallizations. So water is affected by what we say, and where so much of our body is made up of water, so every time we say something, it can affect it, whether it's negative or positive. Well, the term African that wasn't the original name of the continent. That Africa, the A in Africa in Latin means sunny. The Frika is Greek. It means horror.
Oh, wow.
Sunny horror. Sunny horror. Sunny horror. Sunny horror. Sunny horror. Sunny horror. The real name of the continent, as spoken by 2,000 tribes that live there, is Alkebulan.
Okay.
And it meant the birthplace of life. So, as an Alkebulan American, that Alkebulan community, once we come together, because that's all it takes. We all sign a petition using the same Instagram, X, whatever, Twitter, whatever you need to do. We do a petition, and we'll see how many Black people how many Alkebulan people are actually here.
Okay. Now, for in terms of researching, how can they fact check?
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube, the original name of Africa.
Okay.
That's all you got to do.
Okay.
That's right there.
Yeah.
It is. Right.
We want them to be able to, be self-sufficient in their learning process and in the process of hearing information that's new, because we know this cognitive dissonance keeps people from hearing truth or even hearing something that's coming from a place that they've never heard before. So
I like her.
Mathematics 1 times 1 is not 1, it's 2.
Yeah.
I like her. I like her interview style.
And see, what I had to do, what they didn't know when I first came out and talked about the number system, they didn't know that I had already discovered that in the calculator. They didn't know that I had discovered 4 supersymmetrical systems based off of 1 times 1 equaling 2. When 1 times 1 equaling 1 does not, their entire system is based off of that. So they didn't know that I had already patented it and it had already been proven out. So that's what you have to do first. You got to make sure you take care of your foundation, and then you build up off of it. So I took care of that, but we will come together just by talking about this. If everyone is talking about this and demanding it, they've given it to Germany is still paying reparations to those that were in the Holocaust.
Well, the governor, I think it's the governor of New York, I saw where they have released 183 million, I believe, to Holocaust survivors in New York.
Fascinating.
Right. And it's interesting that they have not yet still even wanted to have the conversation surrounding reparations, but it gives me pause because I'm always wondering, why don't you even want to have the conversation? And I know it's a subject that most people don't want to talk about. Most people don't want to hear. Most times it's, oh, just get over it. Get over it already. And I think that's very insulting.
That's extremely.
That it's dismissive to think that we're not owed not just conversation, but reparations itself.
The IRS calls it a frivolous argument. A frivolous argument to demand that which was given to the Native Americans, to demand that which was given to the Japanese Americans that was in the internment camps, to demand that which was given to every other group of people that's been harmed. It's a frivolous argument because they know they didn't have the money for doing. There's some governors that say, oh, let's give them all $1 million apiece. No, give me $131 trillion. And if you can't do that, no taxes for the next 400, make it 500-600 years, because you got to add on the penalties that would have come with all of that.
I have another proposal.
Go ahead.
So in the Bible, there's a verse, I think it's in Proverbs, where it says, when a thief has been found, that they are to not only return what has been taken, but also 7 times more. So it's owed, and I mean, I'm not a math magician like you are, so somebody do the math of what is actually owed from what has been stolen from our ancestors, and even us, still being here. So again, they don't have the money to do it. The money has never been printed and never will be printed enough in order to cover that. That's why I'm like, okay, well, let's have a win-win. You lose 12% of your
your GDP to the IRS, you gain 1,000% of innovation as a result, and you have the karmic debt lifted. And I think every single country that has participated in that, it would bring such an ease to the world. It's a simple and reasonable thing. Now, if they're not willing to respond to a petition, then we file a class action lawsuit. And all it takes is two of us to file a class action lawsuit against the United States government for crimes against humanity and demand that back. But if everyone comes together and do that.
And by everyone, that's inclusive of not just, what is it, Nebula? Nebula?
Alkebulan.
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 Not just Alkebulan people, but
yes, but
people.
If all of us come together and demand it, like the Native Americans demanded it, and it was given to them, and they suffered more than we did.
It's time to unthink what business banking can be. Bluevine is uncomplicated, unnickeled and dimed, and built uniquely for you. Plus, you never have to step foot in a bank again.
They lost it.
Right there is where we gonna disagree at, though. Well, they said they had it rougher than no way, boy. You gotta understand what actually failed over here. All that stuff that you hear about these great Roman civilizations, the hanging gardens and a land cut through with great rivers and all that stuff was in America. All that was here. I'm telling you, I'm saying, as from what I have found out by my research, as early as the 1500s AD, we already had trains over here, right? Whole pneumatic passageways, a way of traveling underground. At the time, I don't believe they were underground, though. I believe they were tubes above ground, right? Which ended up getting buried over time and then built on top of. But they refound this stuff in the 1800s. Where do you think that? First of all, if trains are just being created in the early 1800s, right? And there wasn't even tracks in the United States yet, supposedly, right? Till the 1800s. What is the Underground Railroad? Is there literally a railroad and a train that also was used to carry mail under the ground? Does that mean that there was a civilization that was highly advanced just 600, 700, 800 years ago? To my recollection, about 1,000 years ago, starting roughly about 1050 to around 1450 BC, AD, excuse me, or CE, the Common Era, 1050 to 1450, that this place was buried right here. Huh? Right here, you walking on it. That's what y'all not understanding. Places like the Amazon just got like that in the last 200 years. Jungly like that, all that stuff happened in the last 200 years. 200 years before that, it was brushland. Why? Because it had been destroyed. But 200 years before that, roughly about 1400s, 1300s, 1400s, all that they look back and they got this dirt down there called prt3, which they say is the most lush ground to grow stuff on. But what it's made of is burnt up living material, grasses and plants and all that stuff. It makes this stuff called terrance. Terrance only go down so many feet. And then up under there, we find like a grassy plain. But then up under that, just about 600 years ago, in archaeological time, in dating, we find that all of South America was farmland, planted over with any type of crop you can think of: corn, squash, beans. Everything, everywhere was planted out land on purpose, planted out. So what happens that turns these massive agrarian farms into plains of nothingness and then into jungles in a matter of 600 years? See, they think this thing through evolution is slow. No, it happened right when it's supposed to, and it happened fast. Right? So they need billions and trillions and hundreds of thousands of years for something to happen. No, Earth ain't on your schedule. She got a heartbeat every 26 seconds. What you talking about? So that means at least every 26 seconds she could do something. All righty then. Let's keep going.
Their entire country.
Mm-hmm.
They lost everything. I don't.
My grandmother's Cherokee.
So those are big components. And yeah, if I'm the only one out there saying every given to.
Why does anyone still use ponchos if they never actually work? All you need is the bearskin waterproof tactical.
And they suffered more than we did.
Bullshit.
They lost their entire country.
No, we lost our country. Them niggas was here with us.
I don't. My grandmother's Cherokee.
They traded and got traded off.
So those are big components. And yeah, if I'm the only one out there saying it, yeah, you can come and try and hurt me. But if everyone is participating in this, because everyone will stand to benefit.
Got to have a gang with you, bro. Everybody ain't gonna stand, bro. This is what you need to understand. Everybody ain't gonna stand. But what Owaspi say, search for them people who stand by the Creator. Who today in 2024, their book is a power. Huh? He said they are a remnant of the Algonquin. This is what he can't say. He can't tell you that the nigga is the Indian. Cosmon can. This is gonna change the world, y'all. It's gonna change the world. It's just about where is your focus. Your focus ain't on Creator, everything else is gonna fail. Right? You could do something good, but for the kids, but the focus gotta be the Creator, raising them up to Him. Then it'll work. Right? Growing food for your brother man. That's raising up to the Creator. But listen, it's gonna work. He gonna bless it. That's how it goes. That's faithism in a nutshell. This is belief objectified. Right? I looked into a thing, studied a thing. My belief became faith. That a thing that I couldn't see was going to happen was happening or going to happen because I understood the Creator and how the whole works. That's faith. Faith is belief objectively. which at that point becomes knowledge. Right? Taking it out of the realm of subjectivity. You dig what I'm talking about? Let's keep going though. I like how the brother build it.
I think when young men and women see one man stand up and they see another woman and man come and grab to them, then there's an opportunity for growth because they know, hey, yeah, you may be able to hurt one of us, but you can't hurt all of us.
Right.
And you can't hurt me until the creator says that my work is done.
Right.
And when my work is done, then I'm open to whatever happened. It could be a microbial that takes me out, but nothing is going to harm me as long as I'm doing the work of the creator and moving our people together just towards truth. That's all I want is absolute truth and transparency.
So when you talk about work, how do you categorize the work that you've done on the acting side? It's so different. It's so vastly different. Let me just say that.
Yeah,
like I recognize it just in talking to you and doing the research on all of your other interviews and what you've done already. And we're definitely going to get into that. But how do you categorize the two?
Well, you compartmentalize it because of the very nature that it exists. Like I said before, and I've used this illustration, so I'm going to keep the consistent messaging. Can you imagine if Jesus showed up every day at 5:30? Okay, yeah, y'all, at 6 o'clock, I'm going to walk on the water. Pay the money because I'm going to walk on water. And he did that every day. Me as an actor is literally, I consider it as Jesus walking on water for tips.
Wow.
It's I'm
effortless.
Yeah, people say, okay, yeah, you're an actor. Why don't you keep acting? Why don't you keep acting? Because I have an entire generation that needs this truth. An entire generation that needs to understand the truth about what's taking place within the universe. Because I'll take you guys on another walk. In 1970, they did examination of the human body. Like I said, the average male produced 1,500 sperm per heartbeat. They redid that same test in 2020. The average male produced 10 to 15 million sperm. That's a 2.64% reduction by year. So if you follow that out, by the year 2045, there will be no males left on this planet able to produce sperm. Why? Because of a thing called bisphenol, hard plastics.
He said by 2045, it won't be no males. I think it could be a possibility. Right, if people don't change their lifestyles. But how you know he wrong? How you know he wrong? First of all, he don't even know what's about to happen 2 years later. No. Cosmon got to be here to see that, cuckoo. You don't know. You have no clue what's about to happen, and there's going to be tons of people here. Tons. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to see 2047, 2048. Believe that. You dig what I'm talking about? So, he doesn't understand etheric light and how man is going to rise up for virtually the next 600 years. Now, in this time, right, they're going to birth a people that are going to go on and do some crazy stuff. Right? But the world is going to be different. They ain't never going to be the same again after Cosmo. Now, if your great grandchildren leave up off this mug and go see the galaxy somewhere, don't say I didn't tell you. If your great grandchildren, listen, I'm just saying this, it's a possibility. the way technology is advancing, the crazy part is we know they holding stuff back. What you really got, if this is what you giving us, this is amazing. Have you seen that 10D, 7D? They got a 10D, 10 dimension, like light show in China. Listen, man, this stuff look real. You gotta go check that stuff out. Let's keep going.
EPAs or PHs or phthalates. PHTHYLATES, a nasty word. But what it does, because they didn't know what to do with the products from the refinery, so they started putting it in polyester and all of these clothes. But as a result, what that plastic does in those fine particles does in our body sees, you know, the carbon. Estrogen is made from carbon. Testosterone has carbon attributes to it. So the adrenal receptors are going around throughout the body. You know, everything okay? Everything is okay. And if it's not okay, then the male's body produces testosterone and it fills those receptors. And if it's not okay for the woman, the female's body, her ovaries produces estrogen, and they go and their body is now imbalanced. But because of the phthalates, what it does, it mimics the estrogen. It mimics the testosterone inside those adrenal receptors. And so now the testes don't produce, and so men become effeminized. There's a guy named Dr. Tyrone that, funny name, but he did a test with the feminized. There's estrogen. It mimics the testosterone inside those adrenal receptors. And so now the testes don't produce, and so men become effeminized.
Look what she said.
Is that what's going on?
There's a guy named Dr. Tyrone.
Look. She know what's going on. Look at her face. She said, is that what's going on? Huh? This might be on to something.
That
they even got a verse in there, something about don't mix different clothes in the Bible and all that stuff. Owaspy hint stores more trying to have more cottons and less processed stuff too, but you dig what I'm talking about. Owaspy say if you cold, nigga, put some socks on. Nigga, you better put that vinyl jacket or whatever it is to keep you warm. Owaspy say, nigga, if you ain't ate in 3 days and you go somewhere and you been a vegetarian all your life, shit. Nigga, you be having some ham sandwiches till you can get some more, till you can get some more some fruits and veggies in your life. You better eat that ham sandwich or you gonna die. Now, if you dying on morals like Eleazar, this nigga didn't live till he was 90. Nigga, I ain't eating no meat and I ain't scared to die. No, I set a bad precedent for the dudes coming after me, man. Move out the way. Let me hit. I'm going to head to the rack on my own. I put myself on the cross. I don't need you niggas. So what if I'm going to die? See, that's the understanding of a faith. We enter heaven fearlessly. We ain't worried about death. We know what's about to happen. Ain't the whole point of the book is to see heaven and hear the voice of the Creator? Have you figured out what the voice of the Creator is? That's the question you need to answer yourself. Can you hear it? Do you hear it? Let's go back one more.
And so now the testes don't produce, and so men become effeminized. There's a guy named Dr. Tyrone that, funny name, but he did a test with frogs, and the frogs became homosexual. The females become masculinized, and the males become feminized. And it's something that's a terrible thing that's taking place. And that's what I like about the honorable minister. He's constantly been talking about maintain your man card. You don't trade that in, but take care of your body and know what you are putting in it. So stop drinking plastics, because by 2045, there will be no males left on this planet, not just within the human species, the human platform of life. We're talking about, because the plastics are in the oceans everywhere. So so you're talking about an extinction level event for everything in what, less than 26 years.
Wow.
Is it possible? Is it possible, y'all? He said in less than 26 years. Well, what's going to happen in 24 years? Huh? Huh? He don't understand Dan, and that from 2047 to roughly 2052, 53, and forever from that point, Ethereum light is going to be dumping on the earth. No, it's going to be the other way. Men are going to become large again. Huh? Have you seen your child lately? Just you go look at your child. I got a little girl that was having leg cramps so bad last night. She already fat 10. I'm 6 foot. She having leg cramps last night because she growing. In my mind, I've always seen her 6'3". She gonna be 6 foot in the year. If not this, she may sprout 6'2" this summer. This is the year I grew. Huh? Going into my 9th grade year. She already damn near my height.
No, I know, but
we looking damn near virtually out of that. I got to buy a couple inches, but not for long. And it's my daughter. You better go look at your babies. Your baby's going to be physically dominant and spiritually dominant, and are going to go on to raise babies even higher than them. And guess what them babies going to do? They going to raise up babies higher than them, but they going to raise them up how we raise them up. We going to teach the world how to click your babies on. How to hear colors. How to see sound. Huh? This is what we gonna do. Anyways, let's keep going.
26 years if we don't turn around. But what's interesting is
you don't understand etheric lights of Dan. You don't understand the semi-Dan of what's about to be happening. No, it's about to go the other way, bruh. Now, I perceive the government gonna try to do some trickery, some S, right? We're gonna call it S. Right? For some sugar, honey, iced tea. And it's gonna get its just reward. But I I don't think that's going to affect the people. It's going to affect some, yeah. A bunch of them got to go. Get right with your creator, man. I'm not worried about what he talk about. Why? Because knowing and belief is faith, objective fact. I see it. Belief is objective. Belief is faith. I know it's happening. You think they got an Orakno Umbungala? You think they put together a timetable of prophecy? They didn't know what was happening in 2020, 2019. They didn't know at all. We did. Our first prophecy came correct. We prophesied JI and disease in April 19th of 2019. When did you hear it running around? Not to January 24th, 2020, the day Kobe died. It's the first day you heard of it. Probably don't remember that because you remember Kobe died. But by the end of February, early March, it was on and popping. We had already knew damn near a whole year before. That's why we didn't get sick. We didn't get sick during running around. Creator already had a plan for us. And shout out my boy C-Lock Shalom too, man, because them herbals, if you did get sick, right, like my mom caught. But this was before she went all the way vegetarian. She ain't been sick since, and she down a whole bunch of weight. But knock that stuff out 3 days. You know, and she had that new cut, not the 2020, not the 2021. She had that 2023 cut. You dig what I'm talking about? And, that stuff that was getting people sick at the end of last year. You dig what I'm saying? They were talking about it might be in the whatever. You got sick with it. All right. Not only did it knock out, you dig what I'm talking about, the symptoms in 3 days, but then she was all the way back right, feeling much better in a week. You dig what I'm saying? So that's my mama. You dig what I'm talking about? So shout out to Eli Shalom. Y'all get y'all better herbers.
If you stop drinking plastic today, within 3 months your testosterone levels come back, your estrogen levels come back if you remove the plastic from it, unless your mother drank from plastic while you were in utero, because now there's this thing called the ADG, the anus to genital gap, that for a woman is supposed to be twice as far between should be twice as between a male and a female. But now the young man,
GG.
Yeah, well now the young man, you can't distinguish the distance between the two, and so you can't reverse that. You can't reverse that.
Okay, so
not being born with micro penises and all of these things, and you can't reverse that. But for us of that original age, that we have a chance to fix, and most people can fix it if you take the plastics out, but they don't want you to do that because they need people to pass away.
So, because and again, we talked about food earlier, but I've been vegan for like 27 years. But lately, when I was saying earlier before we started rolling, I don't even like eating because so much of the food is GMO or plastic. So I drink out of glass bottles if I can find them.
That's all I drink.
That's all I drink is. I'm not gonna give them a plug right now because they're not paying me. So I'm not gonna mention the name of the brand I use, but glass bottles is what I drink out of. And I've been doing that for, oh my God, I don't know how long. And most people look at it like, oh, you think you're better. It's like, no, I don't want to drink plastic. And I'm going to tell you a true story. I was cooking grits one day and I was using, this was years ago.
What's grits?
Yellow grits. I'm not going to tell you the brand. Just grits. And I was putting some, I'm not going to use the brand. It was a brand that comes in this container. It's brown and tan, got black writing on it. Everybody uses it, especially in the South. Yes. So I put the butter in there. It took forever to melt. And that's when I was like, something is wrong with this food. It's got to be plastic because it wouldn't melt. It would, I mean, I stirred it and stirred it and stirred it, and it just would not melt. And I'm like, this is not right. There's no way that this hot, because y'all know hot grits.
Yeah.
We know what hot grits can do.
Al Green will tell you that.
Hello?
You're the person with the gun, the person who would do anything to protect the ones who
Said
love.
butter wouldn't
Did you
melt
know
in the
you
grits.
It
That's
wouldn't
the problem.
melt. So I'm like, okay, plastics in the butter, plastics in the food. Even the salmon, I was eating salmon at one point, and they're saying now that the actual real salmon, the modified salmon, is eating the real salmon. So you can't even get wild caught salmon.
No.
Because of all the genetically modified things that are going on. And so many people don't know.
We are facing extinction. So when people
Yes.
say, hey, Terrance, why don't you keep acting? Keep acting. No, I'm trying to keep us alive right now.
Go back to the work. Because I did see where you were coming. You
Y'all
said
to
you were retired.
understand. Do you see the nature of what they're saying? It's all negative. It's all down. It's not revelatory. It's all told like from the position of a man looking up, not from a God telling the story down. It's all selfish. It's all kill. It's all fear. Huh? If y'all still see, even though what he talking about is on point, is still fear-based doctrine. You don't know nothing about no timetables of prophecy. You don't know why he wrong. Huh? What's about to be happening in 24? Listen, you're gonna see stuff going out of existence. True. That's because many of the things that you're going to be seeing are dark things. Right? It's going to be the last hurrah for things like religion. Right? It's going to still have its effects probably for the next couple 100 years, but for the most part, after about 2050, it's pretty much a wrap for them guys. It's all the downward slide from there. And why? Because the light has been constantly rising higher and higher and higher for the last 200 years to the time of Semi-Dan, right? You don't know what Semi-Dan is? It's a harvest time, right? So Wasby say some crazy things about time when you dig what I'm saying, when Etherian light touched the planet, the Etherian angels come with it. It say before Granny go off to the heavens, if you in the right time, right place, they're gonna be able to come back, see you, visit you, sit down, hug you, kiss you, eat with you, and then bail off to the Etherian heavens. You dig what I'm talking about? Right? What's wrong with my? Right?
And you came back.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like, and why did you decide to come back, even if it's for a brief moment?
Well, no, it's because finances. You have to.
Hey, if
The
I can
moment
still
that,
be heard,
you
man,
know, you
hit me
go
with
through the
a fire
6-year
emoji
criminal
in the
tax
chat.
investigation,
Yeah.
you know,
If I
spend
can
three to
still be
four
heard,
million
hit me
dollars
with a fire
defending
emoji in the
yourself,
chat.
and then because it's just paying money to lawyers,
Mhm.
and so that their whole thing is to bleed you out.
Right.
Now, fascinating thing, it'd be 2 points. I had an issue with Fox and Fox and Disney
Mm-hmm.
because the image that you see for Hustle and Flow for Empire, that
Okay.
profile,
Mm-hmm.
that came from a still shot on from Hustle and Flow.
Mm-hmm.
They took that, flipped it, and put it on everything, made a trademark of it, sold it around the world, didn't ask my permission.
Are you serious? Wow.
It's that image is worth $100 million at least for how much money that they made from it.
Mm.
We got a forensic photographer person to go and find the actual frame. We took that to Jams because we were forced into arbitration with Jams.
Mm.
You're not allowed to use the court system. You have to go into forced arbitration with Jams. And even seeing it and knowing that the arbitrator said, yeah, this definitely came from Hustle and Flow.
Okay.
But Fox and Disney have broad rights.
What?
They have broad rights.
Listen.
It's like, huh?
Wow.
Based on what? My writer clearly says you can only use it in character. You can only take pictures from something that is in character.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to take something from an entirely other movie and then Fox
Dirty
Braden has
game.
amazed me. He's so strong.
What's your dirty game? He may come out
lost
on
all
top
of
on
his
this one.
records of
Listen,
how
y'all.
it came up with the image.
I was about to say how they get it.
Every email concerning their logo, they lost all of that, and we get to the arbitration, and that's not concealment.
What?
That's not. So I'm like, okay, well, all right. And then the arbitrator started saying that we asked for rights of publicity. No, we couldn't do that. Rights of publicity. You only got 2 years to do that, and they had concealed the entire time. Told me that it was from. It was a composite of me and another actor, which meant that it wasn't something for me. So they lied, did all of that stuff. We proved all of that in court. But fortunately, the arbitrator had made some erroneous statements inside of things. So we go to the appellate court. And I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? We get the appeals for the under Jams. We go there and I'm like, okay, I don't want to get any superior court judges. I want to get federal judges because they were appointed and they didn't have to go through the process of maybe having to do favors and all that to get their stuff. Those federal judges, they said, well, instead of coming down and saying, okay, well, what the arbitrator did was a mistake. Maybe it was a little over, maybe he had a Joe Biden moment.
You know what?
Maybe it was that. I don't know. Instead of them doing that, they said, well, the producers had the character in mind when they took the picture, and therefore it's in character.
What?
They doubled down on that lie. And to this day, this happened 2 months ago, 3 months ago, they have not entered that into the Superior Court. I'm like, enter it into the Superior Court, because the first thing we're going to do is take it to SAG, and SAG is going to now be forced to adjudicate or deal with it because this makes their rights of publicity or any right they have to an actor null and void, because they can steal any picture from your baby photo the moment you see.
You see why they trying to blackball this dude now? Boy, it look different now, don't it? You dig what I'm talking about? Ooh-wee.
Time that hey, you have the right to use my image. They can now go to anything and conceal it from you. And if you find out about it, they don't have to tell you about it. They don't have to pay you for it. Even they put it on merchandise because they can cut to this precedent. And I'm like, do it.
So that's like
enter it into the thing. And on top of it, picture this. Now that's money that should have been in my money. Now CAA.
That's a lot of money that should have been.
Well, let's go to another one.
I'm just saying.
CAA, Creative Artists Agency, they represented me. They also represented some of the people from Big Bang Theory. They also did the deal with Fox. My show was with Fox. The people from Big Bang was with Fox. We had 28 million viewers. They had 11 million viewers.
Yeah.
They were getting $2 million, damn near $3 million an episode. Those white kids, they had no name recognition, no Oscar nominations, none of that. We have 28 million viewers, and these jokers are paying me $325,000 an episode. And I'm like, every year I'm asking my agents what's going on. I didn't know that the packaging deal, my agents were incentivized to keep my pay low, so they'll go to Fox and say no, and they'll say no themselves because they were producers. They owe me over $120 million based on what would have been paid to white counterparts.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the process of suing them about it. And when I asked them about my money, they said,
boy, stirring up a hornet's nest. You don't need the gang, cuz. Don't worry, you can't do it by yourself. You know it don't work that way.
Sent me a check for $666.
Listen.
Wait.
$666 to say.
Wait.
$666 exactly.
What?
Not saying where it's from. So I was like, oh, y'all trying to threaten me. This is a market piece. This is a threat. This is a threat right here. And y'all think I'm scared? You think I'm gonna be quiet about this? Because I wonder what you're doing to every other Black artist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's
how do you negotiate $2 million for a white cat and negotiate $325,000 for a black cat that has 3 times what the white cat is getting? They were getting $750,000 for a 30-second spot for advertisement. That's what you get for bigger sometimes than the Super Bowl. And they were getting that every week from us, but they were incentivized, and that's why packaging deals were illegal. But now I'm waiting to go to court now to deal with CAA concerning that stuff. And they're like, oh, don't you want to work in a business? No, I want my money so I don't have to work. That's the whole point of working. I wanted to retire so I can do what I got to do.
Oh my God. This is important to know.
Going on,
because I know you've heard.
I had to get back on the stroll.
That everyone,
don't get me started.
I know.
Don't get me started.
I got to ask you about that too, though.
No.
So I'm gonna go the acting route.
Okay.
If you were to choose a wife from any of the characters that you play opposite of, which one would it be?
I haven't had too many wives.
You want me to give you some examples?
Yeah, give me some. Throw some out.
So like Hustle and Flow or Empire.
No, Taraji she wouldn't be on it. She wouldn't.
Okay, so
that's just not my nature.
The last series you did with the Best Man Holidays.
No.
Okay. No. Trying to think of a good one.
I would choose not to have a wife.
Okay, that might be.
If because there's so much work that I have to do, and like the Temptation said, you've got to shower a woman. A woman needs constant attention. They need and
we were made that way.
I know, and it's hard to give all of the attention that a woman needs when you have to take care of trying to educate or lift up an entire nation, entire generation.
Oh, wow. She's been looking for an insight in that data forever.
Oh.
Hi.
I'm gonna find it.
Did you tell her about Sapphire? No, I thought you did. I'm gonna tell her.
Oh, no. The quickest way from 1 billion points of data.
So this is good because as women, we're always taxed as being emotional creatures. I think we're both emotional, men and women. I just think men it's called ego and women is emotion.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think it would
They're
be
both,
true.
yeah, because men are, I think they're very emotional.
Same tear
Because
ducts
they're
that women have.
yeah. It's just not expressed in the same manner.
It's not acceptable.
And as frequently as we do. And because yes, we were raised differently. Women were raised to be in the kitchen, to be cooking. I mean, by the time we could walk, yeah, we have bottles in our mouths and we have little plate vacuum cleaners and, you know, dishes to cook and clean with and pots and pans and
consistent
babies. Is constant programming from the time we're born. So when I encounter a man that says, oh, you're so emotional, you're this, you're that, it's like, this is who I was created and formed to be, is a wife. So it's like, all I know is how to take care of you, how to get up in the morning and cook and do all these things. And then I'm told, oh, you're too emotional. It's like, so how do we reconcile that? But you guys grow up playing in the streets, football, playing with fellas, you know what I mean?
Boys are made of snakes and snails and puppy dog tails. Again,
exactly.
Africa. Or women are told girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. So that kind of messaging and the trauma that a young man feels immediately when he's born is the most sensitive part of his being, having that snipped to say, hey, welcome into the world. All of those things have massive effects upon how we come about. But you had asked a question, you had said something. I had to joke about it in a moment myself.
I know. We were talking about the work and what made you transition from retirement to then.
Yeah, I had to.
Why you had to retire?
I had to because I still have to take care of my family. I still have all of these industries. I have to get Lynchpin fully launched into the world, because literally the first country that gets 10 million Lynchpins will rule the world, because there's nothing else that stops.
Yeah. Do you feel as though your message and your mission now with Lynchpin, with the mathematical errors that are going on, do you feel like that message is being received?
Oh, it is.
Okay.
People are hearing it. There was a video that I didn't even put together, that was put together, that within 3 days we were at 1.2 million views on it. I watched it go from 9 o'clock in the morning from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning 2 days ago. Went from 900,000 to 1.2 million, and then it just stopped out of nowhere. Did it just stop out of nowhere? Or are they afraid that it's being spread out there because I was saying the truth about everything? You know, it's being received because people got their calculators. It's being received because the thing about geometry, like somebody can have an equation and they can confuse a lot of people with an equation. They can confuse a lot of people with a long lecture. But geometry is its own proof. Symmetry, supersymmetry is its own proof. The eyes look at, well, it looks right. That in itself, you can't argue with. For years, when I was talking about the 1 × 1 = 2, the world attacked, and they attacked so vigorously and viciously about it. And they didn't know. I waited. I waited until they would till the hook was all the way down in their intestines. Then I pulled out it with the calculator. Then I tugged at it some more with the patents. Then I tugged at it some more with inventing, making fixed wing aircraft obsolete, and tugged a little more by inventing tangential flight.
Tangential flight. I got that word.
She was saying transgender flight. Transgender flight. That sounds like a flight from my lab.
Transgenital. I was like transgenital. Like, what is that word? But I got it now.
Tangential, meaning to go off on a tangent or fly around your own center of mass, something they've never been able to accomplish with only 6 props. But we don't just have tangential flight, we have unlimited mid-air bonding. We've also patented an entirely new propulsion system that makes the cartridges and all of the other projectiles.
That was actually dope. Hold on, let's get a look at that one more time.
There's no government.
Let's get a look at that one more.
We've also
one more again.
Transgenital, like, what is that word? But I got it now.
You got it. Tangential, meaning to go off on a tangent or fly around your own center of mass, something they've never been able to accomplish with only 6 props. But we don't just have tangential flight, we have unlimited midair bonding. We've also defined, patented an entirely new propulsion system that makes the cartridges and all of the other projectile systems that they have obsolete. The U.S. government doesn't have what I have. There's no government in the world that has what I have, because all of their stuff is based off of obsolete fundamentals, because we've now proven that the platonic solids are averages. And I literally would welcome anybody out there, university, physicists, theorists, chemists. I would love to have a head-to-head duel, and let's put this out there and examine the truth. You know, and
Well, Cosmon accept. I'll examine the truth with you. Taz Vortex, man. Salute. I'll definitely chop it up with you. I don't think it's gonna end up how you think it's gonna end up. Right? And then I'm gonna put the finishing touches on the uniform field theory and your pitching octave theory. You still ain't told us what started that vortex. He got it though. But how you think this gonna end ain't how it's gonna end dealing with Cosmo. You be like, oh dang, how you Now read this book of cosmogony and prophecy in the book of Jehovah. Read this book of knowledge in the book of being. Boy, about to change your life. You dig what I'm saying? Gonna change your life. But no, this bro right here, you can tell he almost got it all the way right. All he didn't say was that he was an engine. You dig what I'm saying? He ain't made the connection, but he done made some disconnections. That's maybe even more important sometimes.
At the end of the day, if you're right, I'll walk away. You can take the patents. But if I'm right, you hand me your accreditation. You hand me your PhD. You don't deserve it anymore.
Uh-oh.
That's huge.
I'm down for it. Let's play. Let's play because the truth don't lie.
Yeah. That's huge.
The truth don't lie.
That's
Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I initially sent my treatment to, 36 pages, came back, sent all these redlined it and these disparaging, kind of very was rough. Hey man, let's get together. Let's have a talk. Let's debate and see if what you say is true. And then you put your accreditation up. I'll put my patent up, and we'll see who has the truth and who's a liar.
Wow. Because I saw the interview you did at Oxford, and we had this conversation the other night. I and Dre, and I got to give Dre a shout out for bridging this situation between us being able to sit here. I've known him for so long, but he's the reason why we're here, and I appreciate him being able to be a facilitator, voice, for me, and somebody that we need these people, like you need people to get your message out there. We need people that are always willing to go before you, that believe in what you're doing. And I think I told you the other night, like I told Dre this, I think 2 weeks before he even called me, I saw a video you did, the one at Oxford. And when I heard you talking about this, excuse me, I was like, number one, I had no idea that your mind was like it is, as I'm sure a lot of people don't, because we do have a tendency to only see people one-dimensionally, in terms of what you do as an actor. We see Q.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters. Quentin
Spivey.
Listen,
Quentin Spivey.
that is my dude. Okay. I will always see him. He is. So we tend to only see that. Okay. Like, he is the reason why, we fell in love with who Terrence Howard is, and so all of your work that you embody is, so necessary. And I want to say thank you for being used, because you've impacted a lot of people. But on this side, you've impacted us even more because now you're challenging us to hear something that we've never even considered. I took physics in high school. I barely got out of there with a B something.
Because it's on some BS.
Because it was like, whew.
It's BS.
So to hear you talk about, and I mean, I had geometry and all that, and I aced math. I had like 106 grade average in math, algebra 2. I didn't do calculus and trig. But to hear you talk about math, 1 times 1 never made sense to me. And so as a child, and I think I told you this the other night, I always wondered, like, how do we know that? So I could not disprove it, though. It was just a natural curiosity.
Calculator.
Right?
I put it in the calculator.
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal of their life.
And I was like, let me just walk. It took me, I was in Africa, I was in Alkebula, in Johannesburg, shooting Winnie and Nelson. And 2 o'clock in the morning, I just finished doing an interview on the radio, and I was just sitting there playing with the calculator, and the angel said, hey, why don't you put square root of 2 in there? Then just cube it, see what happens. And then I did it times 2. Then I added it to itself. And I was like, how is these the same number? I was like, did somebody slip me something? I know I had a little tequila at the bar, but I was like, is this real? And then so I kept putting this cycle in here where I put the square root of 2, cubed it, divided by 2, cubed it again, divided by 2. It kept coming back to the same number. And I did it 216 times. I was like, oh, this is a loop. I found the place in the matrix where it doesn't fit together.
It was a glitch.
Oops. Oops. You shouldn't have let me. You shouldn't have told me that.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, the same way that the same spirit had led me to every other, discovery, because I was willing. It's just about being willing to be used, and the Creator will use you. You can't be afraid of it, and can't be afraid of the consequences of it. You have to embrace it. And what I'm hoping is that the young men and women that's out there, they recognize and see the potential of change just by standing up and doing what's right and refusing to lay down. And that only comes when you know your purpose and your position, and you are unwilling to compromise that, because you're asking me to compromise divinity, and the divine does not bow.
No.
And if they move with it, then we have a sustainable future, because what I've discovered in the grand unified field equation with discovering the proton, defining the proton, and doing all these things, you've got to remember this is the geometry of hydrogen itself. 99% of the universe is made up of hydrogen. So if we have the template for hydrogen, we have the template for reality and all the things that come with it, and that means life and death. So we can extend this existence. We can heal the diseases. We can heal. We can live till time indefinite, not through praying and God fill us back up and all of that.
Because we need the Lord to fill us
Because
up.
the truth is, you're gonna float off into some spirit realm and do what? That's not what happens. Every element, goes through the transition and comes out the other side. You'll take all right, I'll do it.
I know, because I was
We'll
like, I know you about to go there.
in the carbon octave. In the carbon octave, you've got you start with your helium, and the neon is on the other side. Because really, there's only 7 elements, 7 tones for the most part, because all of the elements occur between the pressure conditions of 2 noble gases squeezing on each other. So in the carbon octave, where they squeeze themselves all the way up, you start with lithium, beryllium, boron, then you have carbon, which is a plus and minus 4. It's both male and female, because you're getting hit from both sides. It has a double tone. Then it goes to nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Fluorine, now it goes through the noble gas. Now fluorine comes out, and now it is sodium. It goes from feminine to masculine. So when you breathing in is a masculine thing, a charging of a system, as Walter Russell said. Breathing out is a feminine expanding of a system, a discharging of the system. You never breathe in twice without breathing out once. So how can you go from, we know this isn't our first lifetime here. We've all felt that we've been here forever. Can you remember not existing?
Right.
Do you remember not being?
No.
But do you think you you've been a woman in every lifetime? That wouldn't be fair, but it would make sense if you're masculine male in this lifetime, the next life you become feminine.
My bad, dog. You couldn't hear me.
Come back to male. Breathing in, breathing out. That equanimity will allow for karma to take place. Whatever I've done to women in this life gets done to me in the next one. Whatever women have done to men in this life gets. And what happens biologically?
That's interesting, though.
What happens biologically? The male's body stop producing the testosterone, produces more estrogen. Start growing boobs, become less aggressive and more understanding. The woman, what is she doing? She's slowly coming up to being more masculine, start actually growing little beards and all of that stuff. She's the prostate, which is the same exact tissue that is in the uterus. When the testosterone level drops, guess what? The estrogen level rises. The prostate, what does the uterus do every month? It sheds. It grows and it sheds. So what happens to the prostate? It starts trying to swell, because it's being influenced by the estrogen. The testes go back up and become ovaries. The ovaries drop down and become testes. It's just a cycle of breathing in, breathing out, the universal breath. And understanding that it brings us back to a balance. So I'm like, you want a transgender?
Yeah, my bad. I was chopping it up heavy, man. I had the mic on mute.
Exactly what you want.
I can't.
You're going to get there. Fulfill your role that you're here. Fulfill the role that you were placed here to fulfill. Do that job, get it done, and you move to the next one with the blessing of universal purpose.
If you have an hour this week, you can learn 100 songs on the piano by learning just 4 chords. These.
That's so compelling. It's compelling on so many levels. Because again, you are defying systems that have been set up and built and in place for so long, like hundreds, thousands of years, that this information has just been recycled over and over and over from generation to generation. And yes, been indoctrinated and definitely been inundated with so much information. So to dismantle all of those things, I feel as though I've always been a person that's been, pretty open to hearing. But again, cognitive dissonance will not allow some people, because it'll evade their ability to just be open and receive something that they've never heard, or something they may even know is true. You pose a very compelling question about, can you remember your existence from the beginning till now? And that's compelling. I think there's so much to know that we will spend the rest of our lives learning. There's just too much information to receive. And I believe you're one of the persons that have been gifted to hear things that no one else has heard or considered, or if they have, we haven't been exposed to them. So whatever your sphere of influence is that you've been granted, now ears are opening to hear that, because some people may not ever hear from a Terrance, Deshaun, Howard. But then you have people on the other side of the world that may be having these same conversations. We may not ever know that. But I do think that the work that you're doing is impeccable. I think that the work that you're doing is necessary. And I believe we're on the precipice of a paradigm shift. And it started years and years ago, but where we are now, especially post-pandemic,
they're starting to see it.
That things are able to change. All we got to do is go back and see what happened in 2020, because everything that we know has shifted, and it will not go back to what we consider to be normacy.
They're starting to see it, but what they can't perceive is the rising of light. This is why they always think that time is speeding up, and they perceive a change, but they don't know when, they don't know where, they don't know why, they don't know how, because they don't know creative. One day, though, we can definitely see, I believe, both of them on the path.
And so with your introduction of where you are now, 'cause I heard you say you've been working on this, 45 years? Longer than for a lifetime.
For life.
For a lifetime. I heard you say in another interview that from the time you were a child, you've been questioning things. And because of something your mother wanted out of you is why you aspired to do acting.
Yeah, no, my mother didn't want it out of me. She loved my little brother so much because he was really handsome. He looked like her father, and she lost her father when she was like 8, 9 years old. So my younger brother, Antonio, she loved him so much, and she wanted him to become an actor and all of that stuff. And I thought if I became an actor, I would get my mother's affection and have her love. And that's why that tape was so important, because my mother on her deathbed was like, Terry, I always knew you were going to be all right. But I was so close to Tony because he had asthma, and your father was kind of wasn't, that understanding to him at the time. I was just protecting him. That's why it was so important to have it. But yeah, I realized that I never really wanted to be an emotional whore. I didn't. I did it thinking I would get my mother's love, which I already had, and now, it pays the bills. It keeps my family taken care of. And it has given me this platform so that I can disseminate this truth and I can question this stuff from this place. But my desire is just for all of us to come together and tear down the lie, bulldoze all of these institutions that proliferate that lie, and embrace the truth and the reality, and take care of this planet. Make way for life. And anybody that wants to know about these things, that I'm talking about, I wrote a book, gave it out for free. 1 × 1 = 2, but it's go to tcotlc.com, Tango Charlie Oscar, Tango Libra Charlie.com, and you can download the book for free. Anytime you see a green clover, tap on it. I have supplemental information to help you guide and build apps so you can help be able to understand this truth. And if you want to understand a much broader picture of where a lot of the science understanding came from, look up Victor Schauberger, who dealt with water and the fluid dynamics associated. Look up John Keeley, who in the 1870s built the first perpetual motor. Or look up Walter Russell, the universal one. You go there. If I passed away, if all the books were taken away from everybody, and there was only one book I could take into the future in order to build a new society off of it, I would take my book, or ask that, because in this book I prove that the Platonic solids are averages, and I show them the wave conjugations that replace them, and show them the proper way to utilize universal function. And to be able to maximize with it. But Walter Russell's book, The Universal One, will give you a consciousness and an understanding that will change everything. And if you're not ready for that, just get the New Concept of the Universe by Walter Russell. He did this in 1926 and redefined the periodic table based on tones.
Because you said something earlier about sounds. Colors have sounds.
Well, remember, sound wave has the same dance that a light wave has. It's just the sound, one is longer and one is shorter. If you want to know the color of a particular sound, you take its frequency and you keep doubling it until you get into the visual spectrum. And then you'll have the color. If you want to know what a color sounds like, you keep dividing it by 2 until you get into the audible section, and then you'll understand it and draw the correlations between those things.
So for a novice who is totally like listening to you and it's like wah wah wah, because it's just unfathomable to try and ingest so much, what would you suggest if they were even fairly inquisitive that they research in order to even understand you? Because some people are going to have to go and pull out
go to my book. Go to my book, tcotlc.com. It's right there. It's right there. And I wrote the book. Basically, my commonsensical mind was having a conversation with my educated mind, because I went to school for chemical engineering for only a year. And it was like, oh, this is a BS.
Okay. He say tcotlc.com. Let me see what he got up here. Do I already got this? tcotlc.com. Thank you, Lord. Let me see. Times 1 = 2. That's it. Let me see something. Hold on 1 second, too.
Let me share the screen here.
And make sure you explain about it being a part of the system and that association.
So start sharing. Okay, so you can see my screen there.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this toroid is just there for a geometrical reference. It's not actually doing anything. It just kind of symbolically represents a magnetic field where it would be. Now on the right hand side of the model here, I have two groups of vortexes, which are just like tornadoes, spinning tornadoes that are pointing towards the center. As I highlight this object here, you'll see it, that yellow line, right? So there's a bunch of those in there. There's actually 16 of them, and I'll highlight them all. There.
Check this out, y'all.
See a little bit better. So they're all pointed towards the center, but they're arranged in what we call the linchpin configuration. I'm going to pretend like you never heard of that before. So there's one on the top. This is
Vortexian science.
In groups of 3 around that are spaced at 120
right
degrees
around 1882
apart. And the
with
tilt of these ones on the bottom here is 109.5 degrees in relationship to the top.
Vortex science,
Creating this flat space on the top and the bottom. And they're spaced at 120 degrees radially.
Quantum physics.
And then inside the model,
that was brought forth by a man named Hugh Rose.
3 groups
gave it to NASA. Hugh Rose was
of particle systems with known masses up to 1,000 pounds, from 2.2 pounds to 1,000 pounds. And there's no gravity whatsoever in this model. There's no center attractor. So it's just vortexes and two magnetic fields, a north and a south polarity, and one harmonic resonance, which is emanating a vibration in the field in this region here where these vortexes are pointed. So it kind of just oscillates to give it a little bit of randomness in motion so that the particles will kind of interact and bounce around like smoke or water, waves and water. And then when I hit play, it does it all by itself using physics simulations. So there's no animations at all in this model. And when I play it, this is what pops out.
Look.
Wow.
And then when I look down at the top, it makes the actual hexagon that NASA has observed on the top of Saturn.
Without gravity.
Without any gravity. And you'll see that you get a surface of the sphere on the inside with the heavier particles. So the colors
Are you basically saying, is this saying that you guys can recreate planets?
Yes, this is a particle simulation of the physics involved in making of the planet Saturn.
Wow.
Like all the So the heavier particles are creating the red and the green here where the hexagon is, and those are the heavier ones creating the shell of the planet, and then the outside are lighter particles that are a fluid that's creating the counter rotation of the atmosphere of Saturn, like we observe scientifically. And the red ones in the middle here are where the magnetic field is strongly polarized at the north and south poles, which gives you aurora borealis.
Hold on. My bad, y'all. I knocked myself off screen. Y'all seen a little pop-up of what looked like Venus. Excuse me. It looked like Saturn. Right? But I want to show you some of these hand-drawn illustrations from 1881. Look at this. How JBN know? How you know? I know about vortices. in 1881, before they were found. They didn't have this understanding. How do you know? Hold on, we're gonna get back to this. All right. This is dope.
As well. Like you can change that because you can create it. That means you can change it.
We now have a system by which you can, it's the arrangement of linchpins and the axis on which they are spinning in relation to each other and or vibrating. And by doing that, we can create the condition, any condition that we want.
So you can have human life here, is what you're saying.
We can
right
create life.
If you were able to, if you're able to,
if y'all noticed it, right? That's the how it gets done, right? You've got the force that it uses to create. What is he missing, y'all? What is he missing out of his equation? Peace. Sharice, the realest in the house. He showed y'all what creates. So there's vortex and all that, right? We agree. What is he missing? What can he do? Remember, the vortex was already there. Huh? He's forgetting how to start the initial motion. Something creates the vortex. Sound creates motion. Motion creates force or energy. Energy creates physical corporeal substance. This is the understanding or the cosmogony or the how of the creation of all things. Huh? I can't lie, you're on to something. Remember, he just popped this vortex in here. How do you make one? That's the difference in OWASP.
change and alter these external fields and an understanding. Like at least this would give us a method of studying it in such a way that we now understand that it's external pressures being applied from the outside in, not the standard model where you have internal fission reaction in a nuclear in a planet with magnetic fields from iron cores, etc., going outward. Right? That's all kind of ego based at the center.
Showed that 1,000 times.
Pretty solid evidence that everything we're observing is from the outside coming in. So the entire universe is actually creating the pull of gravity from the outside in, from space itself. The pressures.
Returning waves.
Yeah.
It's the returning waves that are creating the geometry that we call reality.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. It's like Saturn is a reflection. It's like a mirror reflection of the external forces that are creating it. So this is where
Saturn is a reflection of an atom.
This is Saturn. Have you done this with the other planets? Just did this today. This is crazy.
No. Now show her the galaxy.
And then the other one I've done is let me do a save just in case to make sure I don't lose that. Open recent. Galaxy. Planetary. I think it's the second one. So this one is similar, except it's a whole lot simpler. Where galaxies are so large, there's no central magnetic field in this one. the strongly polarized. There's only essentially one weak magnetic field and only 4 vortexes and 2 particle systems of different mass. Because it's not like a spherical type of system, right? So it's only basically 2 poles essentially, or single pole really. And so what happens when I play this one? It's the same idea. You just have 2 particle systems. Let's go back to the front and play it. So this is the matter is essentially coming from inside the galaxy and being unwound, right? It's unwinding like a spiral in reverse. And if I stop it at exactly 504 frames of iterations, it should be large enough to. It takes a minute to process because there's over 300,000 particles in this system. Wow. I'm going to get to 504. That's a pretty close match. Let's go back. That's 506. So you see, it's almost perfect, right? It's actually the groupings of the particles. 504 is almost bang on.
504 right at the line.
Yeah, 504 frames, like actual frames. Yeah. And then when you look at it on the side, this is an image from NASA of our local galaxy and the angles involved. So they, right? So this is the sweep of our own galaxy, the Milky Way, from NASA at 60 light years across. Right? And when I look at it from the front,
look at how it sits into NASA's picture of the galaxy.
Right.
Look at it, and I love the fact that at the tips of it, you have those tentacles coming off.
Yeah.
You know, showing the full direction of what it's about to do, that really laying out the field ahead of time before the particles or the semblance of particles, the waveforms will hit it, will illuminate it.
Are you telling us I think she's gonna come through. She does.
You also just prove he don't know why they're doing it. You don't know why. Space is dark, but the planet got light on it, and the sun got light on it. Everything in between it dark though. Yet he understands there's an interplay. You can't even tell you where light comes from. Or why is that what he called particles, which would be planets. Actually, they would be suns. Every one of those points of light that you see is a sun spinning around a galactic sun or center. Look below it, you'll see light cast down from the center. Now, modern science says it takes 200. This is our galaxy. Modern science says it takes 230 million years to do one orbit around the galactic center. Creator reveals in the book of Earth, Sky, and Spirit that it actually, instead of 230 million even, is actually 239,616,000. Exactly. And they said the Earth, not the sun, but the Earth has took 23. We are currently in the 23rd great spin. Right? 7th house. Right? So region D at 239,616,000 23 times since the beginning of the Earth. So 5.5 billion years old. Over 1 billion years older than what science said. Watch me call. Now look, I want you to understand each one of these little points. See this point? See that little point? That little point? That little point? Each one of them is a sun, just like our own, or some different, but a sun nonetheless. And each one of these is a grand vortex. It's not the master at the center, but it's a grand vortex. And every one of these suns, just like our sun, has a smaller vortexes subjected to it where the planets condense and are carried in their orbits. Same thing. Basically, our solar system is the micro to our galactic system, which is the macro. Right? This is the galactic system. We will be comparing this little dot up here, comparing that to that. But we see this same spiraling nature of everything is present also in everything. Why? Because it is the thing that actually produces. It's the vortex.
So you can see how the distribution of the mass, like when you look compared to NASA's picture, right? So you have this sort of.
Which one is NASA's picture? Is the top one picture? Top, yeah.
This one right here, yeah. Yeah. So you can see how it's split, right? So the Milky Way has these. It's like an X in the middle because there's division of mass.
Yeah, that's that shift. The shift they keep saying points to a black hole.
Right.
Because they have the wrong. They wasn't.
Now fold it up again to where it fits right underneath it, and right. Yeah.
Yeah, from the front. So there's the front view.
Yeah.
But it just predicts the entire thing.
Yeah.
And that's
so
well, you guys gotta get like, and no one from Blue Origin has wanted to talk to you that.
Nah, they haven't thought to spend it. They probably ignored Vince when he first took it in there, or they're secretly trying to work on it. Because Vince has gone oddly quiet since I sent him the book. But that book has that kind of effect on people. People get afraid to respond to it as if, thinking they're the only people that got a copy of it, and that means that somebody can come and wipe them out. If they even acknowledge that they received it.
Funny.
Let me see. So just the clincher of this, I think the clincher is like when I look at the.
Yeah, but I mean, it's literally. I think that tie-in, so we wouldn't see the stars, we wouldn't see the expansive part of the star, because now we're really focusing on the contractive parts, those things pushing down on it. So, like putting on those glasses that allows you to see, ultraviolet or, night vision glasses. We have to remember we're looking from the shadows. So we show that with the individual particles. We show it as if it's from another dimension, as if it's the shadow looking at the light.
It's the reflection. Yeah, exactly. It's the inverse. Yeah.
And then it'll still build the flower, and then it'll be easier to see those coming back together into the flower of light. Or you can bring all those spheres together and they'll do the same thing. But I think tying it in, and each one, as it vibrates, as it touches the other one, the energy transfers over, and that
how it moves and why it moves
and expands.
They ain't figured it out yet. They see the pattern,
and the center expands and become a full circle. And then as that contracts, the next one,
they think it expanded from the center.
You see what I'm saying? So
100%
go back and forth from the sphere
opposite
to the all shape, from the sphere, from the linchpin to the all shape.
to the
and went out
sphere, to
and went out
the
to the edges.
linchpin, to the all shape,
No,
you know,
it
and keep
condensed
going
from the
back and
edges
forth and
and
allowing
went towards the
that to
center.
become
He
the
explained that in his own
oscillations that's
understanding,
happening
but didn't
between
carry
each
it
and every
forward
one of
in all
those star systems. You guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's why you're gonna have a
like for
tough
the
time
I
if you
can
trying to
certainly put
battle
in a
Cosmo, but I
linchpin
ain't
in
trying
here
to
to
battle
make
you,
all these
bro.
particles all shapes, and certainly for the dramatic effect of it as
I
well.
want to have a
Explain it the
conversation
same
with
way.
you.
With
Yeah,
the
so
script,
I'm
with the
saying,
script.
there.
Because I
You
know what's
started
about
like
to happen.
this, and then remind them that
I see
each
what's
and
about to
every one
happen,
of these bright things that we see is the
right?
result of four forces coming together.
At the atomic level,
And the
which is
thinkers
still
gonna
a,
have a
still a
hand
linchpin
in
in
it,
an all shape. Yeah.
one way or
Yes,
the other.
it's like,
Yep.
and it's all of these,
See
and
what I'm
then
saying?
you show a
The
cloud of
thinkers
them
gonna have a
moving over
hand in it
here, and then when they reform, they form into
because
the flower of life.
you can't
They're
make
like,
your theory
that's
work.
why this sat underneath this. That's why this was sitting
This is
underneath
why
the
you need a
poo-poo
machine to put it in
because it
motion
gives us the keys to creation.
to try to
Absolutely.
explain your own understanding. This is
It's
what
amazing.
I'm saying,
So how was my presentation? Mirror? Is she still there? Is she gone? Yeah.
right?
She's sitting here,
Yeah.
jaw agape,
Tell us what's
talking
the
about.
initial
She's now
inertial
we've got to
moment.
figure out where we're going to move to because they have no recovery from this,
Until
and they'll be angry
they can
about
do that,
this.
you dig what I'm talking about? You can't.
That's the tricky part, is
You
explaining it in a way that
You can't even deal with a faithist. You can't deal with us on that level because we're gonna show you where you can't go. Right? We're gonna go where the eagles dare not tread, where angels dare not tread. We're gonna step into that thing, kick the door in. Right? You can already see he pulling from somewhere. Look at his face. He pulling from somewhere.
Yes. Then we get up out of here and went and did something else. And now 97 patents later, 97 patents, trademarks, and registers.
You have 97
patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
Wow.
About 60 of them is for new technology,
Mhm,
because I knew it was necessary based on Walter Russell had discovered the three elements that follow hydrogen but precede helium, and he watched as everyone's, because he didn't have the accreditation, that everyone came and stole and watched people go up and connect Nobel Prizes on behalf of him, on the work that he did. So I knew, okay, let me patent this. Let me wait till the patents are granted before I go and talk about any of these things. So that's what got him really a tough right now. Excuse my language. It's the fact that you can't disprove what I've done. And if you say something about it, you're just going to spread it more. You hurt me, you're going to spread it more because the book is free, and the entire world infrastructure could collapse as a result of what I have, because the universities that are rooted in this dogma and this mathematical fallacy, they lose all of their authority at that moment.
Would you consider yourself to be chosen?
Everyone is chosen.
Even in acting, even in your craft, what you do. Because everyone doesn't perform at the level that you do and that you have as an actor.
No, I don't consider myself different or chosen, because you got to think, if we go back to in 1970, if in a healthy ejaculation, there's anywhere from 250 to 500 million sperm that was sent into my
Remember, what makes you chosen? What makes you one of the chosen? Everybody ain't chosen. That ain't true neither. Everybody can be, but everybody ain't. I'm gonna tell you why. For the same reason everybody ain't chosen. Because first, you must choose. To become the chosen, you must choose Creator first. That's how you become chosen. Got nothing to do with no special bloodline. You ain't better than nobody and none of that. You dig what I'm saying? Let's get back into it.
The first 100 million.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that
50 million died in the ass who got caught in the votes. In order for it's comparable to a 24-hour blind man marathon trying to go from here to the moon, and you don't have any instruction on how to build a rocket or any of that stuff, and when you get to the moon you got to crash your head into it and bury yourself into it. But in order to get to life, I had to win a 500 million man race against a 500 million of my own brothers and sisters. Blind marathon, not even knowing where I had to go, but I trusted my instinct and I got there. For a woman, it's a 72-hour to even 128-hour blind marathon, because the female sperm can live up to 3 to 7 days now, in comparison to the male sperm that only lives for 24 hours. So any of us that get to life, we've already won a 500 million man race. If you ran a 500 million
like,
man
share,
race,
man, thumb up the video,
and you won that blind marathon, you'll be on the cover of every magazine, every cereal box, there'll be states and countries named after you. That's what every person did in order to get here. But when we get here, we stop running. We stop chasing. We stop recognizing that as above, so below. If I had to run this race to get here, then now I've got to continue this race. I just continued running. That's the only difference. I was not afraid to question. And that made a huge difference. And it's just trust that you are already a winner. You're already made in God's image. So you have that divinity, just put on your wings and fly.
So for every person out here listening and watching who sees you and hears everything you're saying, but they still desire to get into the field of acting, what would you say to them?
Do what you got to do if that's what you want to do. But one of the things one of the problems that we had, a lot of young women and men come out to LA or New York, or they go to Singapore or Hong Kong or some major city, and they try and become actors, and they've saved up for about 6 months, and they try and do all of that, and then after 6 months they don't have it, and they start borrowing money. Then after about another 3 months, they get in a desperate place where they're about to be evicted. And so what happens? They go and try to answer some modeling ad or some casting. Turns out it's porn. They end up in the porn business because they're too embarrassed to come back. So what my one did, Mira, we developed an app called Holly, which is democratizing the entertainment industry. So where you can stay home and keep your day job, you stay in school and still come and audition at the end of the day and put it up on Holly, and handle casting. And now you don't have anyone out there. You don't have to lose your day job. You don't have to quit school. You don't have to stop being a doctor or a contractor. You can do all of those things and still build your thing. So if you want to really be successful, go to myholly.app. Right now we're in the beta testing.
And that's your app, because I did see that.
That's our
Okay.
And we want to bring a community of artists together to where we don't need SAG anymore. We don't need the agents. We don't need the managers. Get rid of all the middlemen. And now we support each other.
That's awesome.
And grow as a system. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
That's what I would tell somebody to do.
Okay.
Work within the community.
So you had a birthday Monday.
Yes, I did.
How you feel?
I'm double nickels now.
I mean, double nickels. I have a gift. Before we wrap.
A chainsaw?
Yeah, because you got to cut this system up. You got to cut this system up. No, but I want to be one of the first people to award you in your work. So I have an award for you.
Oh my Lord!
That I'm going to present to you as another birthday gift and just as an incentive to keep going. Not that you need that.
I can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I can't stop.
I can't stop. There you go. All right. I'll read it to you. Let's present this to you. The award. And it says Legacy Award, Terrance D. Howard. It says, for your brilliance, bravery, and tenacity to illuminate and challenge history and the systems of this world. From Straight Talk, Daphne. This is my award to you for the work you've already started and to encourage you to keep going.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
I couldn't give you a Nobel Peace Prize, but
No,
this is the closest I could get to it.
no, they are.
Yeah.
Well, it has begun.
Yep.
Well,
And I just would like to say prophetically that I decree and declare that this will not be the last of your recognition for the work that you put in and for the sufferings that you've endured throughout your life. And I know your mother is proud.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It is.
Stop what you're doing and turn up your radio. Straight talk with Daphne. Straight no chaser. Straight talk with Daphne. Straight no chaser. Empowering, equipping, and encouraging. Real topics, real people, real.
That was another look into the mind of Terrance Howard. He lined up a lot with what I watched me say, y'all. I can't deny. He lined up with a lot of it. Is it exactly on point? No. Do I believe Owaspi will bring clarity to his conversation? I do. Only one way to make this happen, man. Y'all sub, like, share, man. Share it on your social medias. Tag Terrance Howard, man. Tag Terrance Howard. Don't y'all want to see that conversation? Cosmo and Terrance Howard? Somebody who can go back and forth with him? Because what he's bringing out right now is revolutionary the most. It's every day for the game. Dig what I'm saying? It's world shocking, world shaking information for most. We see it ain't even complete. Not that it's wrong, it's not complete. Right? You can't produce an octave yet. You ain't gave us what gave you your frequency, what gives you your pitch, what creates your color. What creates your sound? What gives you your initial inertial motion? Come on home, man. Come on home. Holla at your young bruh. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all know what I need y'all to do. Breathe in. You know what? Let me see. Hold on. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can play something else. Hold on. Hold on. I think we gonna leave off on this one. I think we're gonna leave off on this one. Remix coming with Cosmogony on that thing. Hey, listen, I lit this on fire. Hey, Cosmo, I lit this with on fire. Shout out to Bronze Yoga on the beach. You dig what I'm talking about? With that, you know what I mean? That thing. You know what I'm talking about? He came with that slap. Hold on, let's blow it up a little bit. Ron Joe came with the slapper, the blapper, some blapposity. You dig what I'm talking about? Came with some blappage. Y'all know what it is. I need y'all to breathe in. Let the light in. Some Cosmo, and I'm out.
Yeah.
Jason Nero put the record on.
Create a game coming. Create a game coming. Turning up the light and watch some boys start running. Let me tell you something, we ain't out here doing nothing. I can tell you scared, boy, niggas stop fronting. It was all in the plan, comprehension, understand. Breaking boys off like created in the plan. Cooler than the band. Who you fooling, man? We be tearing shit up like we're taping and some bands. Conscious community, yeah, we in demand. They hunger for the truth. Debate or the booth, sourcing up with the proof. Hey, you on the tube. Catch me in the candy painted octagon coupe. Step in my boots while I'm knocking mine loose. You be the cobra, I be the mongoose. Plant base in my suit, meditate on my fruit. Red Star training, who let the gods loose?